Hello and welcome to another episode of the weekly stand-up. My name is Josh Miller, as always, and today I am joined by a guest host because Jessica Gonzalez, our usual host, is away at GDC, fighting the good fight, doing worker rights things, just kicking ass, taking names, and dropping bubblegum all over the floor. Instead, we got my former colleague, a former editor of the Overwatch League, Lo. Lo, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Josh. Um, my full name is Loaxel Martin Funier, so I just go by Lo. Much shorter, more convenient for everybody. Um, been in US, if you haven't figured out by my accent, from France. Been here for almost 10 years and been working in post, grinding my way up. And I worked for 3 years for Blizzard, 4 years. I worked on BlizzCon, 3 BlizzCons, 2 years on Overwatch League, a year on Overwatch League, 2 years on CTL. So yeah. I've been around a little bit now. I'm doing more Fitbit stuff.
Nice.
Totally different.
You know, Lo, I know a bit of French myself.
Oh, go ahead.
Je m'appelle Joshua. Ça va? Ça va?
Ça, ça va et toi?
Oh, yeah, ça va bien, you know?
how, many,
Uh,
how many viewers have we lost right now?
Wait, I
No.
want to try one real quick. Omelette de fromage.
Omelette de
Nice.
fromage.
How come
Oh.
you guys know omelette du fromage? Is it SpongeBob? I think someone told me it was
Dexter's
SpongeBob.
Lab. Dexter's Laboratory.
Dexter Lab. I wasn't too far.
It's all related to our upbringings. Anything that was on Nickelodeon cartoons is something that we
Josh,
have
that was
watched.
Cartoon Network, you fucking
Cartoon
fake
Network, my
fan.
bad.
You fake
I'm a
fan.
fake fan. I didn't watch TV growing up. No, actually I did, and when they cut off, my parents eventually cut off cable. I was devastated. I rioted in the same way that there were the like riot League of Legends like walkouts during all of that stuff. I walked out of my house and also protested and refused to eat meals for a
did
long
he
time.
did he work?
That built your career to come here now and stand
Yeah,
up for
yeah,
workers'
yeah. That I
rights.
look, I was I was all about collective action from a young age. I mobilized my three sisters. Oh no, my three sisters and two brothers, and I was like, "We're going on strike. We're not gonna eat dinner. We're not gonna eat food. We're now none of them were behind me, so it didn't work out in the end. But yeah, I was trying to unionize at a young age.
Good, good. Yeah. The heart of a true Frenchman, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yo, real talk. I am
So
always impressed by the French collective action. Like, holy shit, it's like we need a whole episode just on that. We do
yeah,
really.
but you
and
guys take
and
it to an
and we should.
extreme though. You guys bring out the guillotine, you know.
Oh, the
Yeah.
guillotine's the best part.
So, for anybody joining us for the first time, this is the weekly stand up. This is a show talking about worker rights, collective action, and abuse in the games industry, as well as doing deep dives into the behind the scenes production side of things. I'm a former employee of Blizzard Activision myself, and for those who are just tuning in, Lo is as well. Lo is a former video editor on the Overwatch League. I feel like you always like with Twitch, you kind of have to like repeat stuff all the time because you've got people constantly like joining in.
Mhm.
So yeah, today's episode is dedicated to the rise and decline of the Overwatch League. We're going to be talking about because Lo, you've been there kind of since the inception of
Yeah,
like
I can.
when it blew up in how what year did you join Blizzard? Was it 2019?
No, it was 2017,
Wow,
and
damn.
actually, Rob Pokes hired me. Oh, he probably will tell a better story, but I didn't
Yeah.
have as much experience. But I think he liked how passionate I was with Blizzard, and I think it's going to be a topic that's going to be recurrent. I think today, how I was willing to say yes to anything just to get the job, and I think Rob really liked this passion, and yeah, it was on BlizzCon 2017. Uh, so yeah, I wasn't there the first year, but I was like the second year of Val. But I followed the
Gotcha.
first year though. I went to the arena. I even took my brother and another friend. They've never watched esports ever. They loved it. They saw Gladiators versus Valiant. How better can you pick a game, right? To introduce people to esports. It was yeah. I started very early on. BAP wasn't even created yet.
Yeah, that's right. Back then it was so for context, what does BAP stand for? Because we were both BAP is kind of like a division within Blizzard that we both worked under. Would you like to explain what that stands for?
Sure. So BAP was Blizzard Activision post-production, and it was the hub where everything you would see on the broadcast, which B-roll from the watch point or like player sizzle in between, everything was being organized, cut, and even like produce. We had producing team as well. So everything you would see during, even in the arena, would have been the one making it. I was in my first full years. I was making the highlights for the league. So tons of content. It's I don't have the numbers, but it's thousands of videos. It's tens of thousands of graphics.
I
It's
imagine, yeah.
so much work. So BAP was graphic and the post production. The producer weren't with us though. They were some kind of on the side, but we were trying to collaborate as much as we could. As much as
Yeah.
we could.
Because before Blizzard Activision post production was created under the umbrella of Activision Blizzard, I'm assuming like marketing, the marketing department handled most of the video assets for Blizzard.
Yeah,
Um,
and also, sorry, and also I feel they were also outsourcing everything. So I
mhm.
think that 2018 is the first year everything was kind of bringing in-house, which I think create maybe the chaos a little bit that it was and kind of, but at first it was really small and trying to figure out what to do, and they spend a lot of money as well to make it big and splashy and everything. Um,
Yeah, in those early days, there was a huge influx of cash into the Overwatch League.
yes.
So yeah, that one thing that we can talk about is sort of the those early days of the Overwatch League, and as we discuss the history of it, from the rise and like the cash influx and John Spector joining the league and all that stuff, into when I joined, which I think was sort of the I'm going to say the decline of the league when COVID hit and it ruined the plans with the homestands and everything. And then eventually we'll bring in our former boss, Rob Poquez, former head of post production on the Overwatch League, to kind of discuss and give his point of view on what he thinks went right and wrong with the league. So. To start things off, topic number one on the agenda before we dive into the history of the Overwatch League is that the Overwatch 2 beta signups are now live. These are the PvP, 5v5 PvP Overwatch 2 beta signups. Lo, are you excited? Are you pumped? I know you said you have not played any Blizzard games in a while, ever since all the controversy around Bobby Kotick and the company has occurred in the last year. But are you going to jump back in? Is this going to be your
Yeah,
first Blizzard title in a while?
yeah, it's gonna be. I've been. I mean, I started to play and work for Overwatch, and there were already talks about the second one. So it's something that's been always on the top of us. And I think even from since the first year or second year, we knew that the second one would be coming and would be kind of bigger, and it would be some kind of giving more breath to the league. I'm yes, yes, I think I'm gonna try it.
And I'm
I,
dropping a link for the sign up for those who are interested. Bam, dropping it in the chat. Yeah, I'm pretty interested. Oh, and also first time viewer Lawful Waffle 10 in the chat, asking if there's stand up. And this is a point of contention. When we created the name Weekly Stand Up, we did not. I don't know how this. Some other members of the team brought it up to me, and I guess it just went in one ear out the other. We're not a comedy show. I feel like there are people who are gonna
oh, I
join the,
see.
they're gonna see the weekly stand up and be like, oh, cool, it's weekly stand up. It's gonna be funny. And I like to think it's funny in other ways, but no, we're not a comedy show. We talk about some pretty serious subjects on this show.
It's really funny how
Uh,
people can fuck up a company so bad.
yeah. Um, so no, the weekly stand-up Lawful Waffle is a show about game industry rights, unionization, collective action, and just getting into like the behind the scenes of the development side of the industry. So not a comedy show, although the industry can be a bit of a comedy circus at times.
There is
Yeah.
potential. Actually, first year of COVID, at some point with other colleagues, we were talking about me actually writing a script about us being on COVID and at home and not finding the right way to balance everything, and also enhancing all the stupidity we will hear on daily basics from all different departments and even people. So yeah, Josh, we could do something here,
We
you know?
could. There's look. Just doing this 1 day a week show for like two-ish hours on Sundays has just eliminated so much of my free time. It is a beautiful day out right now,
It is.
Lo, and it's like one out of the 2 days that I have on the weekend to just relax. I'm now again in front of my computer. I cannot escape. I cannot escape the screens.
It's for a good
Uh,
cause, Josh. It's for a good cause, a very good one. So.
It is for a good cause. So as we, if you haven't signed up for the PvP beta, which I actually have not, I totally forgot to do. I need to do that. Sign up if you haven't signed up yet, and if you get in, we should all play together sometime. That would be awesome. Actually, I'd love
Josh, we all
to
learned
play
last
with our audience
episode you
members.
don't play Overwatch. We all learned this.
I look. I play it sometimes. I'm not good at the Overwatch.
What's Diva's ult?
What's Diva's
What's
ult?
Diva's ult?
She explodes.
All right,
She shoots.
yeah, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
I don't know what it's called, but she's like like jumps out of it
Diva
and explodes.
Diva Bomb.
Diva
Pretty
bomb. There we
pretty
go.
straightforward.
Very self-explanatory. So as we jump into the history of the Overwatch League, what better way to cover it than with someone else who was there from the beginning? We're going to be bringing in my former boss, Rob Poquez, former head of post-production at BAP. He's going to be joining us. We're going to take a quick 1-minute break while we pull him in. So yeah, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, welcome back. We've got my former boss, the former head of post-production over at Activision Blizzard Post-Production, formerly known as BAP. With us, Rob, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Rob Poquez. You did a great job introducing me, Joshua. And if you didn't know yet, you know now that you're fired. So this is great. This is
Well,
awesome.
it's been a good ride, Lo. I leave the show to you. I know this is your first episode and you're guest hosting,
I
but I leave it in your capable French hands.
I will. I mean, Rob and I we can do this all day long, right, Rob?
Oui, well,
So Rob, how come did you
yes.
end up working for Blizzard? How did that happen?
How did it happen? That's a great question. I had just had my first child. Shout out to Jordan. And I had kind of just taken a little bit of time off. Like I'd wrapped up a job and then just wanted to spend some time with the kids. And it was just kind of, it was just a job that popped up on my feed. Like if you work in the industry, there are a bunch of different boards, feeds, different places you look to kind of track jobs. And this kind of live show popped up. And it said it was, like a 2 month commitment in the late fall, which is kind of around when you want to be picking up short-term jobs because August, September, there's not really a lot going on. So it was just happenstance. I didn't really know much about it. It was advertised as they need a live show post producer, which ended up being my first BlizzCon and Blizzard's first BlizzCon that they produced independently.
Oh, didn't know that actually. Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot.
I missed the question. What was the
Oh,
prompt?
you missed the front. So that is the most typical Josh Miller thing that you've done all day. No.
Sorry, Rob, I was muted.
No, Lo was just asking me how I kind of got involved with Blizzard the first time and just let him know kind of the process there. It was a little bait and switch at first because I think they said they wanted to hire me for like a month or 2 months to kind of come in at the back end of BlizzCon. And then on my second interview, they were like, "Where are you available for like the next 6 months?" I'm like, sure, yeah, let's do it. And then
6 years
5 years,
later.
yeah, close, 5 years, 5 year run, and then there we go.
Nice. Yeah, so you were there from the beginning, which is something I want to touch on, Rob.
Yeah.
So, Mike, if we want to hop into slide number 2, the Verge announcement, like when they first announced the Blizzard Overwatch League. Rob, being part of that, like at the ground floor for this, the founding days of the Overwatch League, were you part of the discussions going on at the time? Blizzard moving the production to, but prior to that point, Lo was discussing it, there was a lot of outsourcing, and
Yep.
eventually they moved all of that internally to BAP.
Yes. So, all right. I was aware of it. This kind of crossed with BlizzCon right around the same time. So BlizzCon was in November. Is that right, Lo? I'm
Yep.
losing my. Okay, November, and then we were wrapping that up, and then the facility that we were working out of was the facility that we ended up doing the arena in, and the whatchamacallit, it's the Johnny Carson stages. So
Yeah, up in Burbank,
BlizzCon,
right?
Yeah.
yes, up in Burbank. So the BlizzCon team, we had nowhere to work because BlizzCon, of course, or Blizzard is based in Irvine, and the majority of the people they were hiring out were in LA. And there was a bit of contention. Like there wasn't even any office space for us to really work in. Like there were four of us that shared one office and two desks, so we all kind of took turns going in for different meetings. But we were just looking for some type of office space to work in. And the person who ran the department at the time just said, "Hey, we just signed a lease with this facility in Burbank. There's nothing there. You guys can put some desks there and work out of there if you want." And by nothing there, he really means there was nothing there. Like this was June or July of the year before Overwatch League, and you know this place had just been gutted. There were cables hanging out of the ceiling. The walls weren't painted. The carpet was being torn up, and they were actually building the Overwatch arena, the Blizzard arena around us while we worked over the next 3 or 4 months. So it's kind of shocking at how fast it came up because I was there when it was the original Johnny Carson stage. Like what it looks there in the picture is the Purdy version. What was there was just like a beat up old stage from like what looked like the 50s.
And this is around, so, help me establish the timeline here. Was it
Yes.
essentially like, uh, do you believe that, they didn't really expect Overwatch to be like as big of a esports success as it was, and when it started popping off, a lot of money started flowing into it, and they decided they had to just expand and quickly like find facilities for all you guys?
They they needed it to be big.
Yeah.
This is a big thing that Blizzard was doing, and Blizzard doesn't like to tip its toe in the waters. It kind of jumps head in, for better or for worse. Like they'll pile up a dump truck full of money and drop it off and try and make things happen, which is kind of what they did. Um, they had every ambition to make this thing as big as they can, and that kind of helped with the budget. The budget that they set out for the first season of the Overwatch League, they ended up being 40% over what they initially projected and budgeted. So when it came to sparing no expense, um, they really did spare no expense for that first season to make it hit because it needed to be for the company. Even the week before the league launched, they ended up redoing the lobby. So I don't know if anyone has ever actually been to the Blizzard Arena. If you ever you walked into it, there's this giant LED screen, and then you walked up the stairs to the second floor, and there was like a wall of LED screens. Those were installed the week before the launch of the Overwatch League because the CEO of Activision walked in there and was like, this isn't impressive enough. This needs to be more impressive. So
Oh, you mean
almost
our good friend Bobby Kotick?
Bobby K, BK, yeah,
Oh,
Burger King.
we
BK,
love
I
we
like
love
BK.
Bobby around here.
He came in and said it wasn't impressive enough. So I can't remember the final cost of that, but it was a ridiculous amount of money over the course of about a week to install these screens. And then it kind of fell to me and my team to figure out, what to put on these big ass screens that had no traditional aspect ratio, because it wasn't like a normal TV aspect ratio. So we had to build things, on the fly in custom aspect ratios in kind of like a very big experiential kind of mode, which isn't typical for broadcast post production development. It's something different. It's kind of like an event type thing. It's like a Comic-Con when you go and there's like a 120-foot screen that kind of wraps around you. It was that kind of concept of figuring out ways to kind of fill out all these different screens to make it an engaging experience for the audience members, all five of them who came in on a weekly basis.
And
What is with? Oh, sorry, Lo.
if I'm not mistaken, Rob, it was before the screen. It was the trophies from all the sports, right?
Correct.
It was very nice because before, when we were working on BlizzCon, I think before the Overwatch League started, they had a Hearthstone event and everything, and I like the fact that they had all those trophies from StarCraft, Hearthstone, WoW, and you could see all the esport and the potential of this arena because Bala was also turned into stages for Hearthstone. They had
Yep.
many events, so I'm sad when I saw that it looks great. But the trophy, it was another kind of style, especially when you enter the arena, you already have a wonderful screen that you can see. So it was kind of too bad. I didn't know that it was Bobby, of course, that we did it, but why am I not surprised?
Oh yeah, it was the week of. I think the day before we were still figuring out some of the aspect ratio stuff. So we were figuring out the system on how to do the playback for all of those screens the night before, and I don't think I left until like 7 or 8 in the morning the next day because we worked through the night, me and a couple of the engineers trying to figure out how to do it.
I just don't understand these companies, like why they always feel like the way to look like a big professional company is just lots of LCD screens in the lobby. They did the same thing at the G4 office. It was like, we need a lot of LCD screens here.
And a Guinness World Record. You have that as well.
Yeah, and a giant controller in the
Uh,
office.
Believe me, I just took my toddler to an amusement park over the weekend, and the thing that he was drawn the most to was the arcade. Why? Because it's a bunch of bright, flashing fucking lights, and it's like it's just sensory overload. Um, yeah, treating the audience like they're toddlers.
Yeah.
There you go.
So transitioning over to the Overwatch League and further into it into the 2019 season, that's when it started to expand. Because if correct me if I'm wrong, the league started with 8 teams, and then once it got to the 2019 season, it
Well,
expanded into 20 teams.
wasn't it 12 to 20?
Yeah, I think
I
it was
think.
12 to 20.
12 to
Yeah,
20.
I would
Yeah.
have to go back and count them up. You should have given me some homework to do, but yes, they did.
Okay.
From the second season, they did expand it, and I think that's all the teams that they eventually expanded it to, if
Yeah, there's
my
still
memories are
20.
correct.
Yeah, there's still 20 team. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
that's a pretty significant expansion. Was the first season such a success that they deemed it worth flooding all additional resources into, taking into consideration the fact that it was already 40% over budget during the first season.
well, that's what allowed them to get more of these franchises to have a big showing. So the whole part of the first season was to put some money back in the investors, the franchisees, because this is it's more like a McDonald's than not. People purchase the rights to create a team from Activision Blizzard. So they had to put up a large amount of capital to be able to do one of these teams and maintain them, and then they kind of got to share the profits of of the revenue from the larger event. But it was really about making these franchise owners happy. And the first season was, at least from outwardly, a very successful season. It was on ESPN on a weekly basis, which was larger than most any other esports were at the time. It was definitely the highest funded esports league. Not the highest viewership, but what they were swinging really, really big. It was very visible. It was on the top of a lot of headlines, and then that allowed Activision Blizzard to charge significantly more for the second round of franchise owners than the initial ones.
Right, yeah, and that was a point of some controversy how large the buy-in price was for those later teams that joined.
Well, it was a bit of I don't want to call it a complete pyramid scheme, but what you paid into the league financed the league. So that was the operating capital for it, because there was only so much being made from secondary advertisers for a brand new league. I mean, we had a lot more advertisers season 2 than we did season 1, especially the beginning of season 1. So it needed that capital to be able to operate.
Also, what the league did for the first time, for me, it was one of the first time I heard about it, and I was following already sports a little bit. It was the first time also that players were having a salary and a minimum wages.
Yes.
Like also, it's
Health
Yes.
insurance as well.
yeah, they use this to promote the league, and it's one of the, I think one of the things that makes me kind of want to watch it because I was interested to see actually sports becoming actually taking care of your players. Well, we all know that it didn't really happen the way it
Ish.
was supposed to. Yeah, I mean,
Just
right
like
now,
minimum wage. It
I
was
feel
the minimum they could possibly do. They were trying to show themselves as like a traditional, more of a traditional sports
yeah.
uh, uh, overview. So, instead of being, these random team names, they were city based. The jerseys were much closer to like a soccer jersey than, than some of the traditional jerseys that were done for other esports leagues. And it was a very clean and kind of built for the mainstream persona around it. So adding these things that feel like traditional sports and treating these people like full-time, full-year athletes kind of added to that aura.
Mhm.
And you have to commend them for putting so many resources in the hands of those who needed them to make the league a success early on. But do you think that there's something to be said about Riot's approach, more of the grassroots approach, like starting small and slowly growing your audience and the production organically, as opposed to what Blizzard did, where they just wanted to just go like box in the boxing ring with the pros like right off the bat.
It definitely helps you build a more sustainable model that's built for growth. The big issue that you ran into with the Overwatch League is every season the operating budget was lower than the previous year. So instead of feeling like you're growing, you on an operational side were shrinking, and you were trying to figure out how to do more with less. So it's hard to make something feel like it's growing when it is continually every year getting smaller and smaller on an operating wise. So then that kind of takes a toll on the people working on the behind the scenes. So if you're working on a team that had 10 people the previous year, year two when it's supposed to be bigger and the schedules the days are longer, there are more matches. Your team is down to 7, maybe 6, and then by year 2 or 3, it's down to 2 or 3, and now for this coming up season, they've either all been fired or quit or moved on to different jobs at this point. Like
Yes.
there are very few people left working who were there from the beginning or even from the early days.
And we will get to that, but yeah, when you lose that tribal knowledge and couple that with lower production costs, I mean, if your audience, especially the people that were there day one, are used to a certain level of quality, and that just decreases over time, like they're going to notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, that transitions us pretty nicely into the 2020 season, which was a rocky season. It was when I got brought in halfway through. And Rob, I'm sure you have some some thoughts on how this season went. So, for context, Owl started the Overwatch League started 2020 with very high hopes. They were moving into a new format, the homestand format, where
Mhm.
teams were going to be traveling around and everyone was going to have their own stadium. It was going to heavily rely on ticket sales for those live events in every home state and home city, and merchandise sales and food and drinks, and basically the same way that the traditional sports leagues are profitable, all that fun stuff. But then right as all of these arenas were built and they were ready to go, I think the season got like into two homestand games, and then COVID hit, and the world ended.
Yeah.
Had to quickly pivot.
I'm trying to figure out the best way to phrase this because COVID is not a good thing.
Mm.
It's not. We can all agree on that. Um, what I'm trying to articulate is that if COVID didn't hit, I don't know if we would have been able to finish that season. Like
Oh wow.
it's pivoting to a work from home environment probably, and I'm just talking more from my perspective. It probably just saved a lot of the people on the league from just being worked into the ground, because what we had seen from the first few homestands is that you know it didn't feel sustainable on an operational front. Um, I'll even take 2 steps back. we knew the season was in trouble, at least the people in the background, when we found out they didn't want to spend money for a car wash. Now, what a car wash is for the previous 2 seasons is you get all the players and all the teams to kind of show up and shoot all the cool B-roll that you see between the takes of the turns of the players and all the stuff.
Right.
Like, you want to take photos of everybody. It gives you a base of material for all the current players on all the current teams to have to be able to sprinkle into the broadcast and into the shoulder content program, which we created. For this season, nobody wanted to spend money on that. And you're like, okay, this is kind of the foundation that we build a lot of the building blocks of the non-live content. Even the live content was built, a lot of it was built on that. Like, you had all these cool player intros and these team intros that we would constantly use in the broadcast between matches. All of that was gone. And that was kind of a bit of a metaphor of of what the season was going to be.
Right. I mean,
Again,
even from an editing perspective, and Lo, I'm sure you can add to this, having those B-roll shots is so vital because when I was brought on, there were constantly moments where I was like, "Hey, do we have like cool looking like B-roll shots of this and that player?" And it was always just like, maybe, probably not. Maybe we can like look through the archive and try to find, some old footage, but usually those players were on different teams and we couldn't use
yep,
it. So,
yep.
Because we had both leagues at that point. I went on to on CDL, but it was the same. We had a couple of Homestead, maybe three, I think. We started a little bit earlier in
You
January,
guys had a card wash.
and we had well,
It wasn't a great one, but you had a car wash.
CDL actually they were kind of trying to learn, I guess, from the mistake, but they were also like on a video game that had like championships for already 12 years. So it's hard. You cannot really compare HAL and CDL, but
Yep.
we use Josh. We use this. There is some footage we use constantly. I was mostly cutting
same
like
shots, the same 3 shots over and over.
yeah. I did a lot of show opens that year, and at some point, it's things that need to be hyped. I open the broadcast, and you need to get people excited so they stay for 8 hours. And but yeah, you need to use some of it. It becomes an inside joke almost when you keep using the same shots. And producer at some point they cannot even tell you to take another one that doesn't exist. And even to some degree, shots which are like the casters were. Oh my god, this player is popping off. This is a 5 kill. This kind of things at some point
Right,
don't
those
have it.
hype
This high
audio, moments, yeah.
and the crowds like so many fake crowds like bets we've been using, but yeah, it was hard. Like everything become limited, and even more so for Owl. But you guys had the replay though. You had
Oh,
the
the
We
replay,
did.
replay
so
viewer, yeah.
Yeah.
that we were extremely jealous of.
There was a
The CD.
reason we leaned into that a lot for that particular season, is because it was the only original thing we had. We
That's
didn't
true.
have any shoulder content. We didn't have any camera crews going from venue to venue to capture high quality content that was outside of the broadcast.
Hmm.
So that was one thing that we as a team, as particularly the post production unit, pushed heavily to try and do. One, we had a lot of people who were really interested in it, who wanted to learn, who wanted to get really good at it, who over the years have gotten very good at it. And it was just a way to create original content without having any shots of the players. So it just became okay. It was about the game, and that was also another thing that we learned about in the first few seasons too. It's the first few seasons were geared toward a very mainstream audience. Like, we're on ESPN, we need to show you who player X is. So they were doing a bunch of what I call Olympic spots. Like, all right, this is this person, this is their journey, this is who they are. Um, a lot of people don't really care about that. It wasn't. It was something that was nice to have, but it wasn't something that grew the audience significantly. They were expensive. They were expensive to shoot. They took a long time to edit, and they just didn't move the needle that much online. What people really were looking online when it became very much a metrics driven, much more metrics driven, was it was about the game. It was about trying to bring people in to both educate them on the game and then also show like the player base through the professionals how to be better at the game. And that's when we kind of started to see kind of better numbers.
Yeah, that was definitely always the content that thrived, and I know that was a point of contention with some the insider talk with producers was like, do we go the ESPN route where we build these player profiles and create storylines and conflict between players and stuff like that, which is very traditional sports.
Yep.
But whenever we tried to do the player profiles or and like sketches with our casters and stuff like that, that would always be our least like performing stuff from a metric standpoint, like
Yeah.
it would be tens of thousands of views compared to hundreds of thousands of views. or the high tens of thousands. But really quick question from SLS Scarecrow, and we've got 3 new followers that I want to call out. All of which I think we know. We got Mobius Fox, Michael Sadorf, currently.
Mike.
Yeah, Mike's here.
I'm gone. Mike's here. Forget
Yeah. Who's currently still at the Overwatch League. He's a producer now, right?
Yes.
Supervising producer. Very proud
Supervising
of him.
producer. We got Gapi Yang, who is Forrest, also former assistant editor on the Overwatch League.
Forrest,
And
you need a reservation to go to Disneyland. You can't just show up to the door and expect to get in. All right,
can't
thanks.
just
Bye-bye.
show up at the door. Can't did he do that? Did he just show up at the
We did that together. Yeah. We did
Oh
that.
no.
Yeah.
So you drove
Yeah.
all the way down there?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I paid
Oh.
for it because I didn't want to drive. So we were back and forth. That was great. My first time to Disney.
And how many
Yeah.
times have you been to Disneyland in Southern California?
A 0 in South
Zero.
Carolina.
Oh
0.
mon
Yeah.
dieu.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah. That was a good day. And we left the park with the Star Wars opening song, and I was very I was like, I don't know if I can curse right now, but fuck you, Fate.
This is so sad.
I'll be real. I've been to parks all over the country. Like, Disney is the only park I've ever been to where I needed a reservation, and I was shocked to learn that when I moved out here. Like, that is normal reaction. That is a normal thought.
I've been to Universal Studio 10 times because I used to live in Noho. It was 5 minutes driving. No reservation. I could just show up. It's not
Disneyland,
Disney.
though,
It's not
man.
Disney. Yeah.
So much
Yeah.
better than
And also
Universal.
past pandemic as well, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
And then last follower is SLS Scarecrow. We got Brian in the chat, and if this is the Brian that I think it is, I think this is he played in the Overwatch tournament the company tournament that we organized with Rudy. So this is Rudy's partner. Brian had the question, how do decisions like canceling the car wash come to... It is the Brian that I think it is. Okay, hey, Brian. I wanted to make sure. Look, Brian's a common name, and if I'm like, I would have felt so weird saying all of this, and that it's just a dude that's like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I mean, that's the reason your parents nicknamed you Horatio, just to differentiate you from all the different Josh Millers there are in the world.
Hey, we don't talk about that. They don't need to know that my real name's Horatio. So he asked how do decisions like canceling the car wash come to be. It sounds unbelievably naive of a production head to make that decision. So I imagine it's executive level. I'm always baffled by the nonsensical decisions like this happen from a production standpoint.
Oh boy, so I'm trying to figure out if it's the short answer or the long answer. It happens. I'll try to be as brief as I can. It comes from 2 ways. One, the production team puts together a budget of what they feel like they need to do certain things, basically the show overall, and then it runs up to the executive chain. And there isn't always a lot of explaining on why, but a lot of times either they say get it down X% or you have to hit X number. And then once that number is given, you need to reconfigure the budget that you thought you needed, probably the bare minimum that you created on paper to get a show done, and you have to shoehorn it into a number that you are given. And that's exactly what happened. It's a budget was created, it went up, it came back and said get it down to this number, and that was one of the sacrifices. I think I can't explain to exactly why that particular line item was killed. Probably it was just they probably saw it as just part of killing all of the side production and just focusing on the broadcast.
Rob, I think I felt throughout all these years, doesn't matter if it was AL or CDL, I feel like at some point in the chain of command or whatever you call it, at some point people started to not know what we were doing. Like
that was from day fucking one. Nobody knew.
Yeah, but I know. But how can you justify like to fight for a budget or explain things to actually when your boss of the boss of your boss doesn't even really understand what you're doing on daily basics, what an A is doing. We had so many different things in terms of striking and what we're doing. I've never had that, and it's so hard. I mean, Josh, and Rob, you edited in the past. How can you quantify the day of editing? Like it doesn't it's hard. It's like
It is.
asking any creative person to actually justify why does it take you 5 hours versus 10 and when this person is faster or yeah, it didn't. I think they just didn't understand what the car wash, to go back to Brian's question, they didn't understand the value, literally the value of it, and they just decided to, no, that's this line, yeah, we don't like it, that's the most expensive because of course it's expensive.
Yeah, to fly 16, 18, 20 teams into one location for a period of time and have them, all put up in hotels and shoot all this stuff, BTS content, interviews. It's a tremendously expensive thing that someone just looks at. Why are we doing this 2 weeks before the season? It doesn't make sense.
And even on our hand, like it's AEs prepping it and
Yep.
ingesting. Like it's a lot of work. AEs, you guys have been. Thank you. I want to officially thank all the AEs because editors, but without people pulling all the shots, all the clips, or doing the replays for capture on our like this. Everybody, yeah. I
Yeah,
miss the
yeah.
team.
I want to
I
echo
miss the
that.
team.
I said the same thing when I had two former AEs on during our last episode during the week. Rudy and Vinny hopped on and we just chatted and watched old videos and commemorated our time. Yeah, I've always said that AEs have the harder job between editors and AEs. They package everything up and give it to us all bow tied up, and we just take it from there.
And we
Yeah,
take the
especially when it came to
we take the
COVID, like it
credit.
was hard. It was really hard to do it independently because now during COVID, like there are all of these different systems and software and protocol to move large volumes of content from different people and to be able to connect centrally to a place to be able to do that. We had none of that back then. We were figuring it out on the fly, and that's why we went dark for 2 weeks and just figuring out a workflow to make a broadcast of this scale happen was mind-boggling. And if we were to do it today, it would be a lot easier. But yeah, in those days, it was hard.
Yeah, yeah. And quick shout out to Meals TV. Thanks for joining. First time follower, Meals TV. He is a old friend of mine from college and recently started at G4 as a new assistant editor, working remotely from the
Oh,
green state of Vermont, Burlington, Vermont. So shout out Meals. Thank you for joining us.
nice.
Um,
Someone from G4 post production I didn't hire or help hire.
yes, yes. So he's
Nice.
part of the he's part of the new guard. For context, Rob after Rob left the Overwatch League, he joined G4 as the head of post production over there, and led the team before leaving in similar manner for greener pastures. So similar to Lowe, has left the world of esports.
I'm trying to stay away.
Smart man, smart man.
No, I mean, I ended up in esports by kind of not mistake, but it was really something I wanted to find a job actually when I say yes to Rob, knowing that it was Blizzard was the cherry on top of the cake. But when you start to and you start to develop your network and people are calling you back, but I at first wanted to cut something different than esports, so that's why I'm trying to go back to. But I think it's a great. Can you imagine, guys? We were paid to cut reels and videos on video games that I personally kind of grew up with or love, like the company before hating it. Uh, but yeah, we're still lucky to some degrees. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. 100%. I cried when I saw my the content that I worked on for BlizzCon line premiere on
Mm.
live in front of tens of thousands of people. It was like, holy shit, this is wild. Because for me at least, Overwatch, I was super super happy. Another first time chat viewer. We got Eternal Solitude 100. Thank you so much for hopping in, and I hope you're enjoying our discussion so far. But yeah, I mean, I was very grateful, Rob, when you hired me on the Overwatch League, and I think I was upfront when I was like, I don't, I've been playing Overwatch since beta, but I'm not like huge into it, and I know next to nothing about the actual league and esports side of it. So hire me at your own discretion.
Yes. And
But
after we played the first time and I destroyed you with Junkrat, yeah, it was very obvious to you. But that's
well,
okay.
okay. Saying that you destroyed me with Junkrat isn't really saying anything, Rob. That's like saying, oh, like, wow. Actually, I'm not gonna make this joke. That's like saying, like, oh, big country is destroying little country right now because they have a lot of tanks and stuff. Like, no, shocking, shocking. Like, oh, you won with Junkrat. Okay, try to beat me with like a character that is actually hard to play.
That's
That's all I'm gonna
good.
say. Yeah. Now that being said, I'm not very good at the game, so.
I lied about knowing Overwatch when I got hired. I never played, but I was like, I know the rest.
No,
I
I
can
think you.
learn.
I know. I think you're actually pretty upfront about it. You talked about all the different games that you did know, and you said Overwatch was the one that you didn't play because you weren't a big first-person shooter.
Oh
I remember
wow,
these things.
I was honest. Shit.
Yeah.
I learned though, Rob.
Oh,
No,
believe me,
I'm
it's.
lying now. When I'm getting interviewed, I'm lying. I'm
I can
faking
I
it.
uncover lies pretty quick in an interview, much to the chagrin of the people who are there with me. It's. I love interviewing people. I love finding new talent. And catching people in lies is amazing to me. Because like, just don't do it. Like if you're being interviewed by someone with half a brain, they 2 or 3 follow-up questions on a random statement, and they'll be able to know if you're lying or not.
That's true.
Yeah, Doc Feelbad in chat, who's our friend Vinny, it says, "Imagine lying during an interview."
Man,
Which
crazy. Maybe everyone should go watch our Off the Rails episode from earlier this week.
yeah, we talked about that. How Vinny might have misled Rob about where he may or may not have been located during the time of his interview.
But you,
Which-
I mean, you have to hire someone like this who is so dedicated and wants to work so hard that they're willing to cross the continent to work with you, and they kind of don't tell, so
Yeah.
you don't hire him for this reason or not. So, Vinny, good job.
Good job, Vinny. And if you ever wondered why you're 3 hours early for your interview, it's because you're in your time zone. You got the invitation, and it got set to your time. So of course, yes, a 1 p.m. interview will show up at like 10 a.m.
I've never heard that story.
He was just hanging out there. Oh, there are many layers to the Vinny thing. Yeah, he came. He was 3 hours, like at least 3 hours early for his interview. He came in before lunch. I'm like, I'm not talking to this guy before lunch. I'm busy this morning. And we actually went down to lunch. And I think I came late, and we usually eat lunches together as a team. I think I came late. Everyone left, and then like I'm there eating by myself. And then I don't know if I ever told Vinny this. He actually comes up and sits like not next to me, but right across diagonally at one of the communal tables. And I'm like, oh, it's this guy. I'm not gonna talk to him. So I'm like, fuck, I'm eating really quick. And I'm like, all right, time to go.
Well,
Thank you so
Rip.
much for telling us this story.
Got another
Shots fired.
follower, Eternal Slothman. Thank you for the follow. That's another coworker of ours. That's Connor Yoho, and he works over at I think GNet right now. He does game capture over there. One of the many companies that Blizzard now outsources to because they shuttered their internal team. But you know,
Yeah.
we'll get into that. I feel like we got so off the rails. I forget where we left off
I
exactly.
feel like I
but-
helped them with that decision when I took like 40% of their editors to G4 with me. It's like, well, yeah, I guess we can't do anything in house anymore.
Well, you know, we probably wouldn't have left if we felt like there was a future. But you know, we can get into that. Why? Oh, never mind. I'm getting too distracted by chat now. So I think we left off at the point where you know the league had decided to go mobile for COVID. Sorry, one second. Let me time to go mobile. Rob, you're not getting the worst of me. I sometimes I'll do like little ASMR bits on the stream.
For the
so-
people who didn't know, back when we were working at G4 together, I would pick Josh up at his home because he didn't have a car to get
That's
to
true.
work, and we
That's
had to get COVID tested every week. So at least every Monday, I would pick up Josh. So Josh, I've seen your worst. You've told me them on our long car rides together.
You surely have seen me at my worst.
Yeah. So I
Oh,
mean, yeah. Come on, head up, bud. Head up, bud. You're living the life.
Connor's like, yeah, I guess I shouldn't have said his name. Josh, do you want to broadcast my home address while we're at it? Yeah, so sometimes I'll hang out at Connor's address, and it's right at no.
So if you know the Wendy's down the street from Disney and you make 3 lefts,
Wendy's, which we often share meals together with. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. The show is just blown up. Anyways, welcome, Black XY Amato, or you know, it's actually probably Black X Yamato. That makes more sense. Thanks for joining. Thanks. How are you doing? How you doing, Black X Yamato? You having a good day? You having a good time? We're just chatting. We're having it. You know,
all
we're
good.
talking about stuff over here. But what are you doing? How's you?
Click that subscribe button.
Click that subscribe button.
Hey, Mark, it's good to see you. First of all, this is Bad Latin. Just popping in to say hey. Also, Junkrat means for life. Junkrats rule. All I'm saying.
we're getting a new PR guy. I promise we're getting a new one. We're getting a new one.
Junkrats are the best. We were having a great conversation about it. All right, sorry, bye.
I disagree. Junkrats should be everyone who plays Junkrat main should be like executed. At the
Junkrat mains
guillotine.
have no rights.
Actually,
No rights at all.
Junkrat mains, they're better than Hanzo mains. I mean, there's nothing worse in this world than
True.
Hanzo takes
You're
skill.
taking a bow and arrow to a machine gun fight. Why?
Yeah, because if he used guns, he'd be too powerful. He's that
I'm gonna
good.
send
He
a
has to
blue
use a bow and
glowing
arrow to make
dragon
it.
at you. That's the only way he can kind of like, oh, I can scale up walls. Ooh.
I just want you to know I'm taking over the TikTok account and I'm posting my highlights.
Right,
All
go
my
for it.
highlights.
You know what? Fuck
All
it.
three of them.
Whatever. Do what
I
you want.
have dozens.
I have no control
Yo,
anymore
where are
over
my
anything.
Zarya mains? Zarya mains in the chat? Rise up. Come
All
on.
right. So going the
Shield up.
transition. So Rob,
Yes.
you mentioned that when the league stopped, like canceled all of its homestand tournaments, its live tournaments, moved to a remote workflow. You said that saved the league to some degree. Can you elaborate on that a little more?
The workflow wasn't the most sustainable. Okay, so you had 4 sets of matches happening across the world. You had 2 in North America or 1 in Europe, and then 2 across Asia. That's 4 different time zones, 4 different sets of productions you had to supply content to. We had one post-production team that was in charge of supporting all of those. Now, the people who know inside baseball, Korea and China are more independent, but we were still sending them a lot of assets that needed to be done basically Thursday or Friday before midnight so they could transfer and get over to them and they could kind of repurpose what they wanted to repurpose. But in particular, the North American and the European ones, they were two different broadcasts. But each broadcast had 2 different producers, one producing the Saturday day, one producing the Sunday day. Those 2 producers didn't fucking talk to each other. So they were requesting like an insane amount of assets for one show instead of trying to figure out a way to work together and create assets that will support both. So they would both want like a custom show open designed for their specific day that didn't have anything to do with the other day, instead of like building one that started for one day adding to it for the second day. It's, anyone who does anything across live, YouTube, Twitch, whatever, they know that the first second, no matter if you have a 30-minute 1 hour countdown beforehand, the first 25% of your broadcast, the first 10, 15, 20 minutes are the worst viewed moments. So putting on a cold open that you have one editor spending a week cutting was just a colossal waste of time and money. And and as these producers were traveling, which also sucks to them, they would have to land into a new city state, get a production up and running, and also watch their edits that are happening on a different time zone. So half the time they would either be late or wouldn't give comments, or they wouldn't give feedback until like a couple hours before the spots were due. So it was just kind of like insane trying to get all of these assets to all these different time zones um, run up in time. And then that's for the front end of the broadcast. So since we're post production, we have to deliver everything before the show. Then we also had a separate team that was in charge of taking all the different streams, tagging them and putting them in our MAM system. So we had different groups of people working different hours of the day and night to kind of log, collect, and store all of this material. And we were, there were maybe 20 of us trying to do all of that spread across those 4 different time zones across the world. We were like, by week 2, people were starting to fall apart. Like it was, and this particular season was also the season where they scheduled no breaks. So it was the beginning of the season, and every single week was a broadcast for 18, 20 weeks. It was not going to work. It was just not going to happen.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm sure that moving to a remote workflow where everything's online, people are no longer rushing to get to the office every morning. They're able to take
Yep.
meetings on their own time, take care if they've got like kids and a family, they're able to like do that at the same time as working, because both of you are those people. Like, you both have families, you both have kids to take care of. So I'm sure that alleviated the stress to some degree, as well as adding stress to your work life because you have kids in the background while you're trying to do all of this. So I'm sure that it was a mixed bag in that regard.
It was a
did,
mixed bag.
yeah, I did a whole year in my bedroom. I spent like the first year of COVID, my desk behind my desk was my bed. Yeah, it's hard. It's cool because I can just go out and kiss my kid and everything. But I think for me the issue was the moment when you start and the moment when you finish your day got so blurred
Yep.
that you go to work, you're physically in your bay, someone's knock on the door, you're here or you're not, and that's it. No one is going to call me to add something last minute. And I think unfortunately everybody got in kind of mindset that everybody is kind of available-ish. I start super early. I have kids. At 8:30, I'm ready to work. I'm starting to work, but at 6:30, my nanny is gone, and I need to take care of them. And there is some producers or even AEs who call it, but they start later than me, and it's fine. But when we were physically in a location, it was just easier to also understand the routines that people have.
Yep.
Oh, Lou
For
and
sure.
Rob, they leave at 5. Okay, but that's it. So we know that I'm a producer if I need to get my hands on them. But now you just have to send a text, a Slack.
Yeah.
Um,
And Black
eh,
X Yamato has a question that I think ties into this. How do you balance being a stay-at-home parent and being able to work on games?
I'll let you know when I figure it out. I don't
Fair.
have particular, and that's one of the big reasons why I wanted to leave Blizzard and the Overwatch League is the time commitment was insane because since we weren't budgeted and scoped properly, like we were rushing every week. Like I'll walk you through our week. Monday, broadcast happened. We're taking the content. We're trying to pepper producers to find out what content was needed for this weekend. But we were also creating stuff for the YouTube channel, like our social presence. So Monday through Wednesday was generally social stuff. And then sadly, Wednesday, Thursday was when we actually got requests for the broadcast. So we were rushing to get those done. Friday deliver, Saturday, Sunday broadcast. Then for me, someone who's a supervisor, angry emails Friday through Sunday, angry Slacks. If something is missing, something goes wrong, something's happened, something's whining, somebody's crying. That was Friday through Sunday, any hour of the day. I mean, like we were supporting stuff in China. It's like, oh, China didn't get something. We need to figure out why. So I would have to try and hunt people down, wake people up. Since this workflow was being built on the fly, sometimes it was one person who had all the assets, and that was the only person we could get X from. So I would have to wake up person and have them upload X so that it could go to where it needed to go. So it was 7 days a week, all hours of the day, no concern for people's well-being. And then just working with a lot of different departments who were tired, stressed out, who didn't really care about other people's problems. Like they had their problem, they wanted their answers, they didn't give a fuck, you know, what the cost was to anyone else.
Right,
I-
because as you know, resources are and funding is being withdrawn from the league year after year, they're not for everyone that you lose, for every employee that you lose, and the tribal knowledge that goes with them, they're not backfilling those positions usually because they can't afford to backfill those positions. So those
Yep.
responsibilities then get spread out to everyone who remains and just makes their work life just like so much worse, and they continue to lose
Yep.
people, and the cycle just clearly gets out of control.
Yep.
Lo and Rob, you both now no longer work in games. Can you discuss what like
Well, I
how
work in
your
games technically.
that yeah, that
I,
is true. Yeah. But I
yep.
guess at your new companies, can you discuss how your work to life balance has improved or changed in any way?
I
You
I'm
go, Lo.
yeah, as I mentioned a bit earlier, I'm working like it's called Westbrook. It's the Will Smith production company, and everything is so structured. When I was a PA and started studying tweaking, I was mostly on features and TV, and I feel I went back to having a structure. It's not easier, but I feel everybody understand personal life because you also people are a bit older. I would say that it was instead of 20 between 20 and 30 average, it's more, you had a decade, so more people have either kids or work with people with kids. Because it's also different. Maybe you don't know when you're young and you don't have a family, you don't know that, a kid needs certain things and you can just like look them up for a couple of hours and edit or be on the meeting.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, that's what I feel working on another and just experience. I feel like there was such a lack of experience in terms of organization. I cut more than 40 videos in 1 year, guys. I mean, I don't know how many editors are in the chat right now, but it was over. Sometimes I had to cut 2 videos or 3 videos in 2 weeks, and it's videos that are not 10 seconds videos. As I said, it was show opens, and then there is an educational video, and because we were lacking so many hands, well, we still have to do things. I think BAP, to my knowledge, has never failed delivering something. Have we, Rob? I don't think we have. We've never failed, and we had crazy demands. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I think we always met our
a-
deadlines.
and also another shout out, like all our supervisors and coordinator, like you guys have been on call all the time because, as you said, you have broadcast during the weekend, but during the week you have to take care of the editors who actually don't work usually on weekends because we cut before broadcast. So actually our schedule were a little bit better. But for you, it was, as you said, you cannot ignore a big red flag on a Sunday afternoon, right? You can't. I mean, it's kind of
Yep.
but also you didn't have another person you can kind of trust or kind of take over when you're, going to the theme park with your kids. I feel like we were just
We
lacking
tried
at
we
this
tried to spread it
50%.
out. Like we had a good team.
Yeah.
I was the manager of post productions. We had a post production supervisor and a post production coordinator, and it was the triumvirate. And we all had days that we were kind of more on point on than others. It was a team. We would not have gotten through it without the three of us. That being said, the buck did stop at me, and if something was big and happened, it was generally my fault. Even if I wasn't aware of a problem, if you run the unit, if it's your department, it's your responsibility. So, yeah, when things weren't going right, they would look to me.
And also, Josh, I feel personally, I've always felt that there is more women in TV and shows and this production than in esports. Most of my supervisors and coordinators, they're women. There are a lot of producers that are women. I felt there's a better diversity when you go off esports. There is still
Yeah.
divas, there's still assholes and everything. I'm not saying it's perfect. There's definitely ups and downs, but in terms of diversity and everything, I feel movies and the production I've been on were better represented that in esports, whether it's Riot or I worked a little bit for Riot, but,
Yeah,
or Blizzard. I mean, Riot is known for being a very non-toxic company, right, guys? So
Oh boy. Oh boy.
for sure. But I hear what you're saying. It's been a problem in the game industry and in esports in particular. I mean, right when I was hired, that was when the riots in LA and across the world were going on, and there were always talks and meetings about increasing diversity and all of these initiatives, but you never really saw it come to fruition in any meaningful way. Like our teams were always like majority male, like majority white for the most part.
Yep.
Um,
I will
so
say BAP was by far the most diverse unit, probably in all of Blizzard Activision. Uh, Worked hard. Personally, took a lot of pride in that, being a minority myself,
yeah,
to hire a diverse team. As I stand here talking to two of my white former coworkers, but I'm telling you, honestly, yeah, you have to make an effort, and then sometimes you have to just kind of find people with potential who may not have all of the lines on their resume that are required for the job, but someone who has the right personality, the right drive to eventually succeed. It's a nuanced thing, but yeah, you have to consciously do it.
for sure. And that's it's also tough to do and to hire more diverse talent and expand in that way when at the same time you're also being hit by layoffs. And that's what happened following the 2020 season. Uh, Blizzard, and in particular the Activision Blizzard post-production team and just esports team in general got hit by a pretty, in the grand scheme of things, Blizzard, Activision Blizzard's a company of thousands of people. So in the grand scheme of things, this might not seem like a lot of people, but when a team as tight knit and small as the broadcast team gets hit by 50 layoffs, that's significant, and that's going to impact the production, and that's going to impact everybody's
Yep.
lives, everyone who's left to pick up the pieces after that. So, uh, Rob, would you like to kind of talk a little bit about that day when you found out and how that impacted you as a as one of the supervisors of production?
Was I still here around that time for this
I don't think
particular?
so.
Yeah,
I
Oh,
don't
was
think
because
that
so.
was that after you had left?
this is after I left, because this is
Yeah,
when
it's
Ryan
after.
got laid off,
Yeah.
which still no one can explain to me why that was the case. But this is also around the time when, as people were leaving, they were explicitly not backfilling people. Because
Yeah.
before, if someone left, they would kind of replace them or the responsibilities would be shared. But it's right around this period, 6 to 8 months before, and then everything after, where people are either leaving and not being replaced, leaving and not even getting a counter. Because like
Yeah.
sometimes if you consider someone, an integral part of the company, you get a counter offer to stay. No one, I think, of all the people who've left, I only know one person who got a out of the personally, like 20 or 30 people that I have known and worked with who have left for different jobs. It's This is when you really felt the league was kind of potentially in a lot of issues if all these people were leaving and no one was getting backfilled. So you kind of just see you started to see that maybe they weren't as serious with continuing these types of broadcasts at this scale going forward. That was kind of the message that they were giving to their employees.
Also,
And for
Josh, I'm sorry if it's about laying off. You weren't here yet, but I remember very vividly when because the prior year or 2 years earlier they had a massive layoff as well.
Yeah, it
But
didn't affect us.
yeah, and it was very interesting because I mean interesting, not really, but only BAP continued to grow that year, and all the other department of esport like were shrink down. And I will always remember how they did it, like to take us. Rob, do you remember, like in the arena, like for an hour or two, saying that they were just taking people outside of the office. I've never visually, I mean, I've never been part of a layoff like this as a as a foreigner. I felt extremely I was shocked. It's something I will remember.
Yeah.
And then when it happened to us, and you mentioned one of our coworkers, former coworkers, like that day I realized that they really don't care. They just fired one of
It,
our most talented
yeah.
person, and they don't care. But literally, they don't. Why do you? It's like you fired the best of your team when it was soccer. I'm gonna open. I can continue the European League. Soccer, you fire your striker is the best person on the pitch. What do? You're not gonna win. So yeah, that day I think Europe leaving, them firing 50
Y-
people. You're like, okay, I need to adapt my resume because I think there is not
Yeah.
for context, really quick, before we jump back into this, we had just successfully had our first BlizzCon line. That was BlizzCon line 2021. I think we were all a part of making that a success. And that was no easy thing to do. I mean, you were both
No.
part of Blizz. You were both part of the production on the video side for previous BlizzCons, which had always been in-person events. This
Yep.
was the first time doing it live, and definitely no small feat. But in the end, we pulled it off. Like it was, I
Yeah.
I think it was a massive success. Like coordinating and again, props to all the coordinators, to you, Rob, and to everybody else who was a part of that. Huge shout out to Ryan, another former colleague of ours who was instrumental in the success, and all the producers that had to coordinate, guys like setting up green screens and developers across Blizzard, like going to these people's apartments, setting up green screens, setting up cameras, audio, all this stuff. So that we could have enough video content to make the online event successful. All these developer deep dives and behind the scenes for games that let's see what was coming out around that time. I mean, Overwatch 2 still on the docket, still hasn't been released.
Never
Diablo
gonna happen.
4,
Never gonna happen. If
uh,
they can't get a Diablo Immortal to work
Diablo
itself out,
Immortals, the Diablo 2 Resurrected, the remake, which actually has released, which is a
mhm,
phenomenal game made by
different
Vicarious Vision.
company. Yeah,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah,
Vicarious
different.
Vision.
Well, now the same
Now,
company, because
yes.
Vicarious Visions has been
Mhm.
absorbed as just Blizzard East essentially.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, so there were so many late nights that everyone was working to make this a success. We gave up parts of our personal lives to see this through,
Yep.
because we all hold ourselves to a certain standard. Everybody on the team is just, we all care about quality, and we'll put that over our lives. So then to launch to the success, and then to immediately be hit by these layoffs, where producers and coordinators who were instrumental in making this a success got just let go. Like not just
Yep.
contractors. There were a lot of contractors that got let go, but like staff positions that should have been secured, who had
Yep.
worked at Blizzard for years, got let go.
Yep.
And that was a moment that was instrumental in me wanting to create this show, because it hurt me. It really, really hurt me seeing that happen to my friends.
Layoffs are never easy. I've been working in TV post productions for I think going on like 18 years now. I've been in a lot of places that have had layoffs. It never gets easier, and it kind of hardens you a little bit because, especially at a place like Blizzard and Activision, to do what we do, you really kind of need to drink the Kool-Aid. It needs to be more than a job to you to be able to work the hours and give everything that you need to give to make the content work and to meet your deadlines. Um, and it just goes, it's back to the business. It's like, while this business needs that, it doesn't operate that way. These companies are they operate as corporations for a reason because they are cold calculated and they worry about the numbers. And when the numbers don't add up, they cut off an arm so that the numbers even out. And
But
they don't care
And
about that arm. Doesn't matter what you gave. Doesn't matter how much fruit that tree bore. If that tree is deemed expendable and too costly, they will cut down the fucking tree and not think twice about it.
then they expect the forest to continue to grow at the same rate without
yeah,
that tree.
Yep.
even
Uh,
bigger and stronger and more
and bigger
beautiful.
and stronger.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like uh,
Because they treat people as expendable and disposable and as numbers and as faceless beings who can be replaced if need be. And if
It's
they
just
don't, they kill the unit and they start all over.
but at the same time,
That's
it's such a shame because
yeah.
all of us at BAP, we all loved at some point, like at least we all came in loving the company and the games.
Yep.
Not because they had so many different games, and I feel it's too bad because it's rare to be able to find people who actually knows what you're talking about. Actually, could all of us could almost mini produce because we play so much. Like one of the reasons
Mhm.
why I left to CDS is because I was tired of loving Overwatch so much and working on it. I was like, I need a break at some point. That's why I went to CDS on the work on playing on working on the game. I don't love that much. And they should have capitalized on all of us. There's tons of us, like for example, talking about Vinny and Rudy. Like they learn everything at Blizzard and now they're growing somewhere else. Like
Yep.
Blizzard become a hub to grow talent and just like buy and Riot and all those other people, and they just well, come G4. Of course,
Mhm.
G4 is gonna tap Blizzard. It's like, hey guys, all professionals, like for years, like all the pressure,
Yeah.
that you good with it. So I don't. I understand it from a financial perspective. I don't even, to be honest, because as you were saying, Rob, matching numbers is just for year 1 and 2. They don't have plans for 5, 10 years. And you told me this very
Yeah.
early on, Rob. Uh, Blizzard never had a plan. Like they never had a business plan, which blows my mind. But anyway,
Yeah, no, well, let's dive into that. Let's dive into the like the macro financial side of things because you're right. Like this is something that me and the other host of the show, Jessica Gonzalez, talk about all the time is tribal knowledge in game
Mhm.
dev. And when an industry has such a high turnover rate, when companies are constantly losing that tribal knowledge, those companies suffer because now
Yep.
all of those people who have left Blizzard, those are somebody else's assets now. Riot's assets, GNet's
Yeah.
assets, G4's assets, like significantly. Like
That's
all of
also
our
why I joke that Overwatch will never come out. That team had the most turnover over the last 3 to 5 years. Most of that
yep.
team is brand new. A lot of them haven't worked on previous Overwatch games. That tribal knowledge is gone, so it's going to take a long time for that game to come out. And I am not. Again, I have only played demos of it. I just don't know how well the balance is going to be for it
Yep.
because it's a game like that is defined by its balance amongst its players, amongst the heroes. So I just don't know how well it's going to turn out. I hope it's good. I used to like the game. I used to like Overwatch. I used to play it a lot, previous to a lot of the things. You just feel a little dirty playing Activision Blizzard games right around now. And I left and I haven't come back. I want to come back for Overwatch, especially when they're owned by Microsoft. I have nothing. Microsoft is a big company, but they try a little harder. They they seem to be a little less big brothery. Oh God,
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking regret saying that. But I find them to be the lesser of evils between the Activision led Overwatch version. I feel like there's more potential for a better game and a better environment through the Microsoft ownership than with BK.
well, in the
Yeah.
past few years, they've been very successful in getting like smaller studios and have release of good titles. So I hate monopoles. Personally, I don't like when those big corporations are buying other to make things the world a little bit smaller in terms of uh, um, availability of choices. But in that particular case, bye bye Bobby, and please, like I'm a huge Diablo fan, and D4 I can't wait, and I want to play Overwatch 2, and yeah,
We're gonna
like
find out how much you can't wait because it might be a while. It
It
could be
might
like
be a while. Yes.
yeah, I know, I know.
So this oh my God, he posted. Allie or Mad Lad posted his Junkrat reel.
Doesn't matter what my name is. Just look at the reels. All I'm
Yeah,
saying. Yep. Check it out.
you're
I'm just-
fired. Everyone's fired. We're starting.
This is
Wait, wait,
team
wait.
starting from
deathmatch. This
scratch.
isn't even a real game, dude.
I got the Farah from above. Yo.
In
Come on.
team deathmatch.
No, it wasn't even team. It was by myself. All right. This is me
My
by
point
myself.
stands.
Speaking of
owning
layoffs, the weekly stand-up
Oh.
is now going to be
Look at how good
we're
this
going
is.
we're experiencing some reorgs. We need to reorganize. We need to be leaner, faster, more efficient in the modern world. So unfortunately, not all
Hold
of
on,
you.
wait.
changing
Is this
my
our
career,
T-Mobile
I'm gonna
sponsorship? Hold on. Is it the T-Mobile roast of the day? Here we go.
Oh, yep, T-Mobile. Thank you so much, T-Mobile, for sticking with us through the hard times, the good times, the bad times, and the sad times. No,
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile, yeah.
Done so much work for T-Mobile.
Oh, so much. Ironically, I went and did some work for T-Mobile at Austin City Limits as a one-off. I just like went and did a video for them. But no, so Haley, get out of here. Back to
Come on.
I totally lost my train of thought. So this all ties into the Overwatch 2 delays and kind of where Blizzard is today, which is not in a great spot. In this report by NME.com Gaming News, Overwatch 2 reportedly lost months of development due to Bobby Kotick alone. In game dev, usually the executives and people in the C-suite will just come in with unreasonable asks and ask you to pivot at the last minute on they'll just have unreasonable requests that developers have to address, which usually never even make it into the final
downfall of
game.
LucasArts. Like that's exactly what happened to them. The whole company shuttered because one too many pivots.
So, and this also ties into why BlizzCon Online 2022 got canceled, in the wake of so much controversy with the layoffs and the sexual harassment lawsuits and all of the various lawsuits with Blizzard. The whole company began to spiral. You tie this in with the loss of tribal knowledge and loss of talent that they were experiencing, all the game delays. I mean, it's just a huge domino effect where now all of the teams are pulling from the Overwatch 2 team is pulling from the D4 team. The D4 team is pulling from the Diablo 2 remake team. They just don't have enough resources to keep all of these games on track, because they used to be on a schedule where every year there would be one major release, whether it was a World of Warcraft expansion, a Diablo release, an Overwatch release, that coupled with the yearly Call of Duty release. And now all of that is thrown out of whack because their development cycle is out of whack because they lost too many people and they've fallen from grace. So of course they're going to cancel BlizzCon Online 2022, because how do you get up on stage in front of your fans and have an event that's dedicated to your company's legacy and dedicated to your future games when you have no good news and you're mired in controversy?
Oh yeah, the worst thing they could have done was have craft Q&A and just that would have been horrible.
Yeah, or walk
Horrible.
on stage and just own up. Just be like,
Yeah.
we know that we messed up.
But they're not good
and
at that.
These are the steps that we're going to take.
Just
They
remember the
could-
BlizzCon controversy and how long
Oh
it took
man,
them to get over that, because they
that
could have
that
done
was
it.
that was for me the first time my love for Blizzard got chipped away a little bit. I think that was the first time I was started to see the kind of fanboy and everything is glittery. I think at that point I was very, very disappointed. And I don't know if it's a hot take, but I think we might never seen another BlizzCon. I don't think they will ever have another one.
I
How?
think they will. They just have to rebuild their brand,
Maybe
eventually.
after Microsoft, once they have more.
Yeah.
But as of right now, you guys, I mean, people are just gonna go there to just protest.
Yeah,
There's so much to complain about.
on the operational level, BlizzCons have got up until back when we actually were having BlizzCons, they had gotten so big, so complex, so expensive that on the operational front they were really hard to pull together. Coupled with the fact that the game teams don't really like them, they weren't beating down the walls say, "Hey, you know what? We got this." They were constantly being pulled into it and feeling it as an obligation to kind of to work their development cycles around. And I just don't even know how profitable they were with how much they were trying, what they were trying to make them become and have them be, and what kind of presence they wanted them to have in the social space outside of just this little convention in Anaheim. Yeah, and it definitely seemed like they were they liked the press, but the cost of putting on the BlizzCons at the scale that they were doing them were not, they weren't really making money on it. It was seen as like a marketing opportunity. It was seen, the costs
Yeah.
were absorbed in other ways.
Yeah.
So,
Which I
yeah,
agree with, frankly. I
I
think
agree
that
too.
an event like that is, especially with a company that has such a long legacy and such a passionate fan base, that even if they lost money, like I think it's a blessing if they broke even. But even if they lost
not even
money,
close.
well, yeah, so even if they lose money, I think that's fine as a marketing event. It's something that deepens your
Yeah.
fan base and connects people and brings all these fans together to celebrate your games and your products, as well as acting as essentially their own mini E3,
Yep.
which
Yeah,
in
it is.
the modern society where E3 is all but essentially disappeared and all
Yep.
these companies are having their own individual events to announce whatever their slate of content is for the year.
Yep.
Something that doubles as that and a fan event, I think that's invaluable. And
Oh, as fanboys, that's easy for us to offer up. When you look at a profit and loss column and you're
but
like, why does X cost so much?
this
What
is
does
but
it really? It's all intangible what it brings in. And the biggest problem with the Activision takeover was how much Activision meddled. Rightfully so, because Blizzard was not the most optimally run business in any
sure.
regard. They
Yeah.
were releasing an original game one every 6 to 10 years. So like their
Had to have the
cash flow was
quality mark of
backwards.
approval, the Blizzard stamp of
That's
approval. It's got to be up to quality.
that's a whole other topic.
Yes, it is.
But that was the big thing. That was the big thing that Activision started doing. That's why all the founders started leaving. Is that the Activision money men started looking at the company as a business instead of as an artistic endeavor. And once you're absorbed into that kind of structure, the gravy train kind of stops. Like I know people who worked at Pixar before Pixar was taken over by Disney and Lucasfilm and all these smaller independent companies. They grew these things from the ground up. But once the corporate overlords took over, they're like, well, why are you paying? Why are you giving everybody free lunch? That doesn't make any sense. That costs way too much money. Let people fucking brown bag it. You're not going to lose anything, and you lose a little bit of your shimmer. And the original people who were there hurt the most, and they eventually move on. And then you kind of just hope to indoctrinate a new core group of people who kind of rise up and take it on. So it's part of corporate America. It's part of corporate America that really sucks.
It is, but I think it's such small thinking when you just boil everything down to a profit and loss statement. What you lose is intangible. Like all of this stuff.
Josh, Call of Duty, they do a release every single year. They don't have a Call of Duty-a-thon every year to celebrate every release.
Wait,
They
they did
release this
though.
game, and
They
every year,
did.
well, okay,
Yeah,
kind of,
but
but it's not the scale of BlizzCon. But like,
Yeah.
they release this game every year, always the number one selling game of the year. It looks amazing on a bottom line, and then you hold this up to these other companies, the other studios, and say, "Why aren't you doing this?" This game comes out every year. We have 3 studios working on this game to make a release happen every year. Look how much money it makes us.
I just
Fuck
think
you, or fuck everyone for thinking that way, but that's the mentality.
yeah, I know that's how these people think, and all they care about their investors at the end of the day. But yeah, first time viewer, post haste. Thanks for tuning in. He says I like money. I like money too, but I like long term unrealized gains is what I like. I like to look at the big picture and be like, I will suffer in the short term and maybe take some losses, so that in the long term, maybe I'll make more money. And Activision Blizzard does the opposite. Mostly Activision, frankly.
Oh,
Uh,
I'll tell
like
you, Blizzard, especially for year to year. I mean, there were wisps of a plan for additional seasons. I think they kind of had the first 4 seasons mapped out. The fourth season being the Overwatch 2 coming out to kind of revitalize the league. Other than that, there was no plan for any individual season. They were like, we have the broad strokes of 2 seasons at Blizzard Arena, and then we'll go to this home away model. And that'll get everybody in the seats. And then like when people get tired of it, then we release Overwatch 2, and then that'll get people back in the seats. Then after that, there was no plan.
but if
That
you're
was
gonna
the extent of
spend
their long-term plan.
if you're gonna throw so much money at something, and try to develop it, and they were successful to some extent at creating a fan base at the very least. Like, don't then just start shuttering it and like let it die. Like something Riot's League of Legends, uh, the whole like esports league took many years to become
Yes,
profitable. Now it's
it did.
the most profitable esports league there is, but that took so long. And Blizzard
Yep.
coming in, big dick swinging, just expecting like we're Activision Blizzard, like it's gonna be a success right out of the gate. Like no, you
Yeah,
gotta grow it.
short term. As I was
Yeah.
saying earlier, they just think short
Two
term.
things. I have two things to that. One, Riot is great because they are the company, the development team, the broadcast are all in lockstep together to make this great experience. They are all geared toward making that league the best possible league it could be. Blizzard was not like that. The development team could give two shits about their esports league.
If anything, we were a
Um,
headache
Yeah,
to them.
we
yeah.
were, because they were getting in the way of their development. So they didn't care. They didn't support. They did very little. They didn't even promote. They didn't even use their official Twitter to promote anything. Whereas the Call of Duty League, like, even there, the official Call of Duty YouTube channel was tied to the Call of Duty League YouTube channel. So all of those, they would grow together. I'm trying to remember. I went on this tangent. I don't even remember the point I was trying to make. But hey, look, storytelling, smoke, mirrors. Next topic.
Thank you so much, Rob. I mean, so, as we start to wrap this out, we've pretty much caught up on all the history of the league and how we got to where we are now. Hopefully, Bobby Kotick's days at Blizzard, Activision Blizzard, are limited. And now we've got the Microsoft acquisition because it was a perfect storm. Activision Blizzard was in deep shit. Their stock dropped like 20 to 40% in the matter of a week. And one day it was definitely 20%. When the all those
25%
lawsuits
was
got
the
up.
highest loss we saw.
25% in a day.
In one day. Oh, wow.
In one day, which is wild. So Bobby realized that like his position of power was probably at risk. So in the moment, I have to imagine he reached out to Microsoft because I think him and Phil Spencer go way back. They're like old buddies. And he essentially got a golden parachute. He worked out a deal where Microsoft would acquire Activision Blizzard, one of the largest sort of independent publishers, now being acquired by one of the largest. And Lo, you were saying that you don't like monopolies. I think this is totally a monopoly. I also don't like monopolies. Is this the best thing for Activision Blizzard right now as a company to get them back on track? I think so. I think that for all of the negatives from solely from a development and creative standpoint, I think that this is going to give Blizzard the funding and maybe the freedom that they need to get their current slate of games back on track and maybe explore some of their other unused IPs, like maybe release another Warcraft RTS, get back to making StarCraft games, and maybe
Please.
explore like take
StarCraft
yeah, I
games,
know, I
John.
know. Maybe explore like using a
FPS StarCraft, guys.
yes, exactly. FPS
Please.
StarCraft. Utilize the existing IPs, but in other
Yes.
ways. They've
That
had
game was made. It was done. They just
Are we
they
talking about
canned
Ghost
it.
now? Yeah,
well,
dude.
no, two. There were two. There was StarCraft Ghost, which was a
Yeah.
third-person StarCraft game,
Oh, was that a
and then
third-person one?
later, yes, that was third person, and then
Okay.
later they were working on a first-person StarCraft game, which never. StarCraft Ghost, yeah, was pretty close to being released, but then they canned it.
No, the
The
FPS one was pretty close too. That
Was it really? So, but we never got to see any
Yeah.
footage. The public never got to see that. They probably learned their lesson with Ghost. Like, oh, we can't advertise something at multiple BlizzCons for years and then release trailers and pre-order things and then just cancel the game. So
Overwatch 2.
Overwatch 2 will come out. It has to.
Mhm.
But unfortunately now it's been delayed
I
so many
said the same thing
times.
about Duke Nukem Forever.
Which eventually came out, Rob.
Yeah.
Because they
It
had
did.
to release it.
It
Ah,
did.
yeah. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I'm really curious what engine the engine appears to be different. So like they had to rebuild the game on a new engine because it looks visually different. I don't think that's just modifying the original, because there are all kinds of things that were going on at Blizzard where they're creating like a unified engine that all of their games instead of all the separate engines for all of the separate franchises. And I think that's what StarCraft was being groomed on or written on, this new collective engine. I just don't understand why they aren't on Unreal like everybody else. Like it makes development
They don't want to
marketing.
pay the licensing fees.
Man, see what Unreal 5 can do? Jesus.
Yeah, it's the same reason why everything was over at EA Games was being retooled to use the Frostbite engine, which ultimately hurt their development timelines as well. Dragon Age got delayed, Mass Effect got delayed, because these were games that they wanted one unified engine, but the engine tools did not support making games like that. The engine tools were like were created specifically to make Battlefield games. So when you try to make a not Battlefield game, it was essentially making the tools that you use to make the game while you're making the game, and that's just not how you efficiently like make a game. So that, of course, that's going to lead to delays. So I'm not surprised that
Yeah.
Blizzard's in a similar boat with that.
For something big like game engines, when like games have gotten so big, when you go too proprietary, it kind of hurts you a little bit. I'll give the analogy of when Blizzard bought MLG, Major League Gaming, the biggest name in esports. They bought this company because they were the leader in esports, and what that basically amounted to were some people and a website that was all custom that they ended up regretting buying because it took so much work to keep this website going, and everything had to be built custom. So every time you need to do something, you needed dev time instead of just kind of going to a community or going to a bigger body and requesting it. And of course, after the first season of Overwatch League, they killed pretty much everything about MLG. And
Mhm.
to my knowledge, everyone who was at MLG is almost no longer there. I think maybe one or two people left. So they basically bought this thing to destroy this thing because it was too hard to integrate into their workflow.
Sounds like a Microsoft things to do. Facebook and all those
Yeah.
big
Yeah,
guys.
it's just the
Uh,
monopoly tactic when
yeah.
Amazon, will like bring on suppliers onto their website, look at
Mhm.
which ones are selling the most, and then release a competing product that's the same product at like a fraction of the price, and just like destroy the competition essentially. So bring them on as a partner, as an ally, so that they can get rid of them in the long run.
Mhm, 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 mhm.
But yeah, so as we start to wrap out, what are your thoughts on the future of the Overwatch League and Activision Blizzard as a whole? Are you hopeful with this acquisition under Microsoft if it ends up going through and passes all the antitrust stuff? Do you think this is going to be a good thing? Are you excited?
I think it's the best thing that could happen to the company. I think it allows them to, with good cover, hit the reset button on a lot of things. Like in particular, I don't think Call of Duty needs to be an annual game. Like imagine taking 3 years to really rethink what that game could be instead of essentially making the same game every year. Because every year they've tried to do new stuff, and always at the 11th hour, it's like, all right, we're gonna kill that really cool feature because it is too different from what people are used to. And then from the specific Blizzard side, I think it will help. It will give them deeper pockets because Microsoft will be much more concerned with the IP as a whole to expand their businesses. Microsoft, what they're doing is they want to own IP because they want to own cloud gaming. That's the
Mhm.
world that they're going. Just like the last generation was, they wanted to own the living room. Now it's gone to the cloud, and they, through Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass, they want to be able to pack more exclusive IP into those services than anyone else, so that they can win in that world. Because consoles can only grow so far. I think they've hit like the saturation point, really, of how many units they could sell, and those numbers are kind of, except for weird bumps, are generally kind of getting smaller. So that's the world they're trying to win. And I think these acquisitions can help them. And I think they can give these teams more time to create these games and give them more support than they would have had otherwise. So in general, I think that's good. Now, in terms of Overwatch League, shit, man, I don't know. It depends. Like the whole concept of playing the game on Overwatch 2 beta, we got to know how beta that is. Like, how good of an experience is it going to be? Because that league needs something new. I know last season was the first season where they saw positive growth because everything from like season one has been this. So they saw a little bump with the last season. They need to figure out, from everyone that I talked to, they don't know exactly what caused that bump. So one, figure out what that bump is, and two, like Overwatch 2 will definitely bring a lot of curiosity, but like you can't play that game for 6 months or a year and not have it released to the general public
Yeah.
and hope people are just going to hang out. So I don't know. I'm very mixed with that. I think their fortunes are so tied to Overwatch League 2, and that's not something that I want to hitch my trailer to. if
Yeah,
I
because
were them.
they won't be able to bank on like a real big hype because nothing is really released in a big. It almost felt when I saw the developers update, like the last one, they almost feel like they were presenting it as an update of Overwatch 1. Hey, you have Overwatch 1, maybe you can get to play a little bit of the second one. And at least they won't have the PvE and all the content that will smash. You know, it's going to be in every store. They're going to have commercials about it for people to buy it because the first one was a huge commercial success, like in terms
It
of
was.
copies. And unfortunately, I feel like the league is not going to be. Overwatch 2 is going to sell well. I have no doubts about that.
Will it sell though, or will
I
it be
think I think I think it was.
other ways to play that game that are?
Uh, yeah,
Um,
but I
really,
think for the league,
really quick.
it's yeah.
We got a new follower. Thank you, Lindry, for joining. And another one, Six Keys Unlocked. First time chatter, who asked, "What do you think the best way?" Oh, actually, sorry, we got two questions. Any thought? Post haste asked, "Any thoughts on the recent T4 departures?" That kind of ties into what we were talking about before, where uh, yeah, I mean, our thoughts are it's obviously going to negatively impact development. There's a reason Overwatch 2 has been delayed to the point that it is. And it's clear why these people are leaving. They're not happy with leadership. Leadership isn't listening to them, and they're going to take their tribal knowledge and they're going to take their resources elsewhere. So, also Activision Blizzard is not known for paying top rates for any of their staff. So, of course they're going to leave. It's there's no shock there. And what do you guys think is the best way players can support Activision employees who do stick around?
Great question.
That's a very good question because it's always like, for example, as I said, I'm not playing those games for one because one person or a group of person is pissing me off. But
Right.
on the
Should
other
should
hand,
we punish, should
there's
we
a
punish
thousand of
this huge company for the
exactly.
actions of a small C-suite?
Yeah, because there is all the developers, and when you
Yeah.
create, when you spend so much time working on something, you want people to see it. Like otherwise you're an artist, but you stay on your own. Like you don't make a living out of it.
Yeah.
So actually, thank you whoever asked this question. I forgot your name, but I think it's a good one because it's not fair to penalize everybody and not be able to have this conversation just because you're not happy. I think it's for me, it's all about talking about it. I feel like all the Me Too movement, all the harassment, like everything that's happening in the past few years, like it's important to talk and maybe do a little bit of education as well. Like if you hear someone saying something or else like you can just correct them, kindly having a conversation. I think having a conversation as we're having right now, so to make things move. It's gonna take a lot of time because unfortunately, you know, minorities bark louder than majorities, especially when you have a power. But I think all the going to if there is any manifestation or any kind of place when we can just talk about it or just share and like this video, subscribe or anything, But yeah, I think it's just being aware of what's really going on.
Yeah.
I think
Two
that's the most
things. Two
important.
things you can do to help support, I think. Have conversations and amplify. One, if you are following a specific artist, developer, somebody that you like and respect who still works at Activision Blizzard, follow them as an individual. Don't follow the company. Follow them, support them in what they do. If they want to sell art on the side that has nothing to do with Watch, support them. Put the dollars in their pocket and not the company's. If someone that you like, respect, and admire says something, starts a conversation, amplify that conversation. I think you agree with what the agenda they're trying to forward. The reason that as many changes have happened with everything that's around Blizzard and Activision is because people spoke their opinions and like-minded people amplified that opinion to the point where the Bobby Koteks of the world couldn't ignore it anymore. So respect the individual and hope the company pivots and turns and hopefully brings in new leadership to kind of steer the company in a different direction. Because, do Google. There have been a lot of high profile people left, a lot of people who are in positions of power who've left because they weren't happy with the direction the company was going. So hope that the company shifts, but the body will only shift if the consumer base forces it to.
Absolutely. I love that. And I love your bit of advice on amplifying the voices of those employees because where we are now is like a year ago, I never would have imagined we'd be where we are, where Bobby is, like feeling the heat finally. and the amount of like high level departures we've seen at the company from people who use their power to abuse their positions.
Yep.
Um, I as a show that's like dedicated towards like collective action, and it's something I've always wanted to see. A year ago, all we saw was like people speaking out in the Blizzard compensation Slack channel, and now to finally see people organizing and to see actual change happening, it's awesome. It's awesome to finally see this occur. So just keep, it's dumb, but keep retweeting when you see
Yeah.
your favorite developers, the people that you follow, when you see them speak out, retweet it and just keep this conversation going. Keep talking about it, because at the end of the day, I think that's I wish there was more actionable stuff that you could do as a consumer and as a viewer, and someone who a fan, someone who's passionate about these companies. I wish there was more, but I think all we really can do is just keep supporting these people and uh you know propping them up when they talk about like, hey, I worked on like this part of the game, be like, respond, open up that dialogue with them, like, oh, I love this game, I love this character, that's so cool that you worked on that. And when they cry out about abuse in the industry, try to amplify that voice as well. And other than that, I think a lot of these employees are gonna have a much better work environment when the acquisition with Microsoft finally does go through. Hopefully,
Hope so.
all I can hope. Yeah. And as far as the Overwatch League goes, I hope it continues. I hope it continues to grow. I think it's awesome that last season, even if we don't know why it grew, I think it's awesome that it did. For a game that old too, that's really saying something, right? Like the Call of Duty League, which I don't know its growth metrics, but they have a new game every year to kind of promote that. Whereas the Overwatch League is still going strong. Maybe not strong, but it's still going and growing to some extent. On a game that's, I mean, how many years old? 8 years at this point? Is it
Getting
around there?
there.
Yeah,
Feels
it's
like
getting
it,
there.
yeah.
It depends when you've kept the beta or not. It's about 7
Yeah,
years. It came out
it's 7 years.
spring
7 years.
2016.
Yeah.
So it really
But
depends on when you count the timeline.
that's wild for a game that has had
What's
no major
wild was the
overhaul.
original beta. We all could have 6 Junkrats versus 6 Junkrats.
I loved the
It would've
soldier
been great.
You're
in
gonna
the
summon
OG
him, dude. You're gonna
days.
summon him.
Bastions.
Oh, here he is.
Wait,
He
Bastion.
did. He said 6 Junkrats, and all of a sudden,
You
Madden
can
shows
move.
up. I can't help it.
Imagine the
Sorry.
pirate
It's a
ships you
secret
could do
word.
with like 6 bastions
can we
that could
Oh,
move.
so
They weren't
good.
stationary.
can we talk about the Call of Duty build, the 6 Soldier 76s? That was my favorite build when everyone was just playing it like a Call of Duty shooter, and it was
Yep.
a viable build because you can just like, it's just bullets flying everywhere. Everyone can heal one another and play like
Yep.
a support role. That was the most fun build. It was so
You
fun.
can't out heal my bombs.
Yeah.
Horatio.
Oh, my Helix Rocket game is strong. So
Alright, while
let's.
while we're really off topic, hey, what lightsaber do you got on your setup back there? What we got in that box?
Ooh, I have a couple. So that one is Asaka
You've cut out
down
completely.
below. Oh, sorry. I have a Sakatonas, and then I have a Mace Windu down below it, and then of course I have my lightsaber, my custom Savi Workshop
Now,
one as well.
is it the Clone Wars or the Rebels Ahsoka?
Stand by.
Okay, I'm
Rob has
leaving.
so many lightsabers.
I'm not ready for this. I'm leaving, guys. I'm still salty about last week.
Oh
so-
wait, hold on.
Oh my god.
Those are dope. Mike's going to get his lightsabers now. I think you guys probably have
Should,
like the
should,
same.
should I go get mine? Okay, I'm
Go, yeah, Lo, go get your lightsaber. I would get mine, but I'm lazy. And it's
Oh
just,
boy. And then when everyone comes back.
You guys can't see it, but I have a katana. So there.
Yeah.
oh, there we go. Wait,
Yes, but do you have this?
I also got the limited
Wait,
edition
wait.
Temple Guard set. Just got it in a couple weeks ago.
Oh.
Really proud of it.
Oh,
got the
my
kyber
God.
crystal holder.
Oh, what the fuck? Oh
And
shit!
where's my black kyber crystal? There you go.
What?
How,
Oh,
how
fuck
much
you,
is
dude.
it,
Yeah,
Rob?
that's wicked cool.
How much
That's
is it?
wicked cool.
It lights up. I don't have batteries in right now, but yes.
That's enough, Rob.
Good
That's
enough.
enough.
You guys want to go down? You guys want to go down the Star Wars pathway? Hold on.
Viewers, this
Oh
is
my.
if you
Alright.
want
Hold
to
on.
know
Oh,
what
this is
like
awesome.
morning meetings. So one of the reasons we're called the weekly stand up is every morning in the game industry you have what's called a stand up. and that everybody talks about what tasks they're going to accomplish for the day, what they've accomplished in the previous day. But what it really usually devolves into is this shit right here. It's people
Oh.
showing off their fun little toys because we're all dumb little nerds, talking about what movies we saw recently and
Excuse
usually
me.
why we hated it.
No, we always talked about your love life, Josh. Let's
Oh,
talk
my
about your
love.
love.
No, let's not talk about my
So,
love
Let's
life.
we talked
Let's
about
please not talk about
so
that.
careful.
we were talking about how corporate can damage franchises. Can we just talk since we're talking about Star Wars? Can we just talk about how Disney taking away the extended universe and replacing it with this is unfortunate?
Replacing it with what?
this like just the last 3 movies and all the stuff that happened that
Oh, I don't
doesn't
want
make
to talk
any
about
sense.
this. I don't want to get into
so
this.
I'm really
No.
upset.
No.
I'm
Meta.
actually upset about this. No,
This is
Not
an
now.
hour discussion. This is an hour to 3 hour discussion.
now.
that-
Possibly.
Here, let's check out my very
Oh.
expensive lightsaber I
No.
bought that I spent way too much money on. Let's check out that in a nice wooden box.
Let's
I will
celebrate.
reveal that my first job in the industry was working at Lucasfilm on the Star Wars prequels.
Oh, no
Which-
way. That's really cool.
really. Oh my
Yeah,
god, that's actually
really.
really cool though.
Should have you on again to talk about that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I applied for a writing program, and my old film wrote me a letter of recommendation. It's been like, I think 8 years since I've talked to him, but he is a great guy. Rick McCallum, producer of Star Wars prequels. I emailed him, and he wrote me a letter of recommendation, and he sent it to me the next day. That is one of the greatest people I've ever worked with in my life. I have nothing but great things to say about him. He's a crazy motherfucker, and I love him.
Me and Lo have Dekus
so
too. We have massive Dekus.
Post haste in the chat says, can't imagine buying a lightsaber when I could buy 600 Diet Cokes instead.
Oh,
Fair
shit.
point. Like, Ralph,
Well,
what's your
that's
rebuttal?
true.
Like, there's no
There's
counter
no
argument
rebuttal.
there.
Yes.
There, I have
My
no
rebuttal is, why
counterargument.
is it diet? Huh? You coward.
On the sugar.
Very
I mean,
agrees.
processed fake sugar is probably worse for you in the long run. Go 100% animal fat in your life, and you'll probably live a healthier life. Nothing wrong with trans fats. There we go. We've jumped the
Over
shark
to take it
officially.
from here.
I do have one piece of Star Wars merchandise that I'm pretty proud of. I've got so I bought the original Old Republic video game, and I had like the really
Ooh.
fancy edition. So I have the Darth Malgus statue that came in the special edition
That's sick.
in the little styrofoam case. I'm actually opening up. I haven't actually opened this up in 10 years, so I'm just like looking at this right now.
Here, hold on. I'll turn off Josh again. We can turn you on.
Yeah, please turn off Josh.
Yeah,
please.
Josh, you know.
Okay, tell me when.
Yeah,
Bye,
just,
Josh.
just do it right now. Do it right now. Do it right now.
All right, ah, I did it. Huh. Hey, by the way, I don't have hair anymore. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not.
That's some bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, but okay.
This
so
is
it's still
this
in
is
the box.
Star Wars time, Josh.
Look,
My
look,
fucking show.
I haven't even opened it yet. It's
Wow.
like still in the styrofoam case, wrapped in tape. Like this is just.
How do
Are
you
you
know
gonna
it's
take a knife to it
inside?
right now? Like,
How-
I mean,
how-
No,
Unboxing
it's like
video.
a car. It's a
How
car. The moment you break that tape, 20% of the value is just out the door.
You're right,
no,
though.
it's in
And
the
how,
box.
how do you know it's
It's
in
in the
there?
box.
Yeah, what if
You
it's
should
not?
never-
Imagine
How
it's
do you,
not
how
in
do
there.
you know?
The tape.
It'd be like one of those
Makes
like
a difference.
ancient, like it'd be like one of those ancient things, right? Where like or like one of those like relics, right? Like you're expecting to like, get like this treasure. Like,
You
this
got
super
Jake Paul.
weapon.
You got
Open it
Jake
up and it's
Paul.
all dust, right?
It's dust,
Oh
yes.
man.
You got a bunch of G.I. Joe trading cards in there.
You'll never know unless you open it, Mad Lad. Do it,
What
you
if-
coward. Do it,
what
you
if I
coward.
open
How do you know it's actually in the box? You
No,
don't
I
know
agree,
what's in the box
Kaylee.
if you've
Kaylee,
not.
if you can't
if
see the
you do not break
collectible,
the
you
tape.
have to open it. That's the rule. If you can
What
see it,
if-
you don't have to open it.
I'm imagining that I'm opening this box, right? And like
Pixar
instead
never
of
happened.
Darth Malgus, it's gonna be like a Star Trek action figure or something instead, or like just something like horror. I'm trying to think like what's the worst.
It's a
possible
George
thing.
You never
Lucas
trust-
bust.
Never trust anything you buy on eBay. If it's sealed, they're just preying on you. It's an original iPhone in there with like 3 gigs of like trance music.
No, it's a Bobby Kotick action figure.
No, burn it,
Complete
burn
with,
it, burn it.
like, complete with like destroying the company and or force people to crunch for no reason at all. Like it'll have like little like action bills and shit too. This is no, it's staying in this box. It's staying in this box for as long as I can keep it in the box. And then maybe if I have like a glass display case or something, I'll keep it in the box in the glass display case and not open it still.
Yeah.
Actually,
Mad Lad, if so in the chat, Joey the Saint has the same one, and that they also have not opened. If they open theirs, will you open yours on stream?
Wow, that is a that's an
Conundrum.
obligation.
I hope you're monetizing that stream, baby.
I mean,
Fucking
yeah.
donate to the
If-
cause. Hover on
Okay.
your Patreon, man. They just got to sub in.
So how many subs was it where I would have to do the coffee hot tub stream? I forgot.
Oh, how many subs was that? Was that just 100?
No, it has to be more than that. I'm not doing it for 100 subs. It's like,
1,000.
yeah.
1,000
Okay,
subs, I
1,000
think.
subs for that. I would be willing to open this if there were like, I don't know which one's worse, the coffee hot tub or opening this thing.
Your
I
prized
feel like-
possession.
All right, wait, why is this a discussion? This man
Well, I'm gonna do
legitimately
the-
just said, "What's worse, sitting in a coffee hot tub or opening my collectible?"
I mean, true. So this should be like 1,500 then at least. I don't know. It's hard to say. I could do the coffee hot tub thing. I'll do. Okay.
So
all
again,
right.
if you're interested in doing PR for us, you can email us at weeklystandup@gmail.com.
It's fine. I'm changing careers. I'm going to become a Junkrat main in the Overwatch League. I've decided. Now everybody see my work. That was actually my goal. I wanted
Year
everybody to
6.
see.
It won't take much to join the league. They're dying for people.
We,
no one's even signed.
Wait, really?
Are they dying for people or are they just dying?
Ooh.
No, I'm just kidding. We have too many friends who work there. It's not. I'm
We don't
looking
have that
forward to
many
their
friends who work there anymore. It's like half
few
a dozen.
friends. Hey, I'm looking forward to the future endeavors and success of the league, and I hope Microsoft can turn it around.
Is G4 hiring Junkrat mains?
G4 is definitely not hiring anyone right now.
That is
trying to cut costs.
How many shows can they squeeze down with the amount of people they have there?
Rob, I don't know if you know, my show just got canceled. The one that I work on, Boosted.
Yeah, I heard
Wait,
Booster
it got canceled? What do you mean it got canceled?
Uh-oh.
We're gonna focus on other stuff.
They're not
Nice helmet,
boosted
Mike.
anymor. They are just not. What's the opposite of boosted? Not boosted.
Busted.
Oh. Oh no.
Anyways,
Mhm.
as we got 9 minutes left, Lo, while we've got you, I know that you mentioned that Rob was kind of a personal mentor of yours.
Stop, Lo.
Is there
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
is
That's
there
the
anything
Rob
you want to
moment.
say to him while you've got him?
Okay, get the napkins ready. No, I mean I mentioned how you hired me. It's just not only hired me, Rob also gave me he allowed me to become like an editor within BAP quickly. At first, I was an A, right, Rob?
You were
Or
an
no,
you started
media
you
manager.
started as a
Manager.
media manager / AE, but I
Yeah.
treated you more like an AE, but my budget manager because it paid more.
Yeah, budget always. But yeah, no, Rob, let me go fly with my own wings and everything, sample CDI and everything. So thank you, Rob, for putting your trust in me because you told me that you saw people with more flashy and nicer resume than mine. But thank you for giving me a chance. I know it's just I know it's just the accent. I would have been French when you gave me the gig, right? You just wanted to practice your
No,
French and talk about wine.
you made it easy, Lo. Like I don't always try and find the people with the try and find the most interesting person who would bring the most to the collective. That was my pride as a manager in putting together teams, and the people I hired made it easy because they were the ones who stood out from the crowd. When I hired Josh, it was smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. I put up a job posting when everyone was unemployed, and I got over 500 resumes in. And I read every single one of them because that's what I do. And Josh was by far the most interesting person in that pile. So I hired Josh. You just be you. You do what you do, and the right job will hopefully find you. You just have to keep putting yourself out there.
Yeah, all my like we've been talking about BAP and everything, but I legit have all the friends that I have that I'm close to today. I all met them at BAP. You, Peter, Forrest, Josh, Eric. I mean, I'm gonna forget so many of them that I cannot even give you a list. There's at least like 20, 25 people that I know I can call. And I have an issue with my kids, and I know I can count on them. Like it's really, and I think that's why also break our hearts. It's kind of trying to wrap up. That's also what kind of breaks our heart. It's we all try so hard to. We had issues, of some different point of view and some not really fight, but we can get along with everybody. But it felt really like a family, and it's something that we'll probably never experience ever because it's very unique, and that's why when we got our friends getting fired for no obvious reason. That's why it get very, very, very even more difficult. But yeah, Rob, you rock. Thank you so much for everything.
Stop.
I
It's the
stopped.
people
I
that made it
stopped.
good.
Nope. Well,
Hey Rob, quick question: do you think this would qualify me for a job at Lucasfilm or no? Do you think this
Oh,
would
I don't think you
hire
want to
you.
job at Lucasfilm right now.
Shit, it's okay. I
Healthy,
just got a
productive
job.
place to be.
I do. Yeah, I want to echo. I want to echo that point.
Sorry, go ahead.
My team's using it. I want to echo that point. Um, it's I searched a very very long time to find a team like what we had at the Overwatch League and at BAP, and it was always I don't know, I always dreamed that team existed somewhere out there, but I didn't know. I didn't I don't I wasn't sure I'd ever find it, and when it did happen, especially in the middle of a global pandemic, when like I was just in the pits of despair, that was I'll
AKA
never
New
forget.
York. In
AKA yeah,
New York
AKA
countryside.
upstate New York, yeah, the countryside, basically Canada. Um, Joining that team and seeing how you all interacted on a daily basis with each other, having meetings that were basically like this, where it's just like joking around half the time. And hey, maybe that's why we went out of business, but like it really no, like you will never meet you will never ever meet a group of more passionate, hardworking people who also just like on their downtime would still hang around and chat and virtual happy hours, play games together, who to this day, despite no longer working at the company, still hang out like IRL or online and chat with each other every day. Like I've never experienced that, and I don't think I could go back to our normal job. I have no idea. Like I'm lucky where I get to work with most of the people I used to work with over at G4, but if for whatever reason that was no longer the case and we all went our separate ways, I have no idea how I would be able to
Uh,
work any other job anymore. I don't know.
actually, Josh, I thought the same, but you will realize for me, working with friends had also downside. I'm very close to calling you out, Anthony. Anthony has been since day one. Rob, thank you for introducing me to Anthony, of course. Since day one, Anthony and I we spent like 3-4 months in the same bay, not having that much work to do sometimes. So we bonded a lot, and that's when he become on CDM my boss. There's few things that it's hard to talk, and it's not something that he put upon me, but for me, as it was hard to go complain about another colleague because there is this, am I talking to my friend or am I talking to my boss? And I don't want to be the guy who put him in a situation when I'm going to tell him a secret or something that I would tell my friend, but I want him to be strong enough to not have to say anything while we're working. So I would say this is the downside. So now when I'm working at Westbrook, that's why I was saying the difference, because for me this is so professional. There's no kind of, we cannot do what we're doing. I tried once to crack a joke and I stopped after that one. I was like, okay. But yeah, this is, I think Josh, you'll be okay. But it's like if I didn't have BAP when the pandemic started, I don't know, like with a newborn, with a new kid, the second one on the way, at least having this family environment in a very tough working environment and keeping our job too, because we were lucky to keep our job at least for the first year. Um, I think that was something that I'm very grateful that I had a family. It sounds like a Vin Diesel family.
Yeah, right. It's hey, it's not about the games.
No.
It's about the yeah.
Yeah.
No,
This is a special group.
it
It's a
was a
good group.
special group, and you're right. There are sometimes those lines could be crossed, right? You don't know
Yep.
where like where the working relationship ends and the friend relationship begins. This is all true for sure. And I'm sure now that you're on the outside, it gives you a different perspective, and you can just join for the fun stuff now, like tennis. We'll see you at tennis this Tuesday, right, Lo?
Oh, I'm gonna come next week. Actually, whenever you guys play, I'm gonna come. I have no
Okay.
excuse. I don't have cuts going out. I'm not trying to go to Disneyland.
Disneyland
we
didn't work
gotta-
out. Just give up.
Question: is Vinny
Rob, we
invited
gotta-
or no?
We got. Oh, yeah. If you want to join, Mike, you're more than welcome.
No,
to
I
join
said
for
Vinny.
tennis.
I said Vinny.
Oh, Vinny. Vinny's never invited to anything.
Okay, just making sure that's
Hey,
the
you like
rule.
Yeah, no,
backtrack so
absolutely
fast.
not.
No, I'll
Yeah.
go. Can I go to
Absolutely.
Disney World? I want to go to Disney. Or where
You-
are we going? Actually,
We're going to tennis.
Oh, tennis. Tennis. I thought it was Disney.
I mean,
World.
for real though, I'll play tennis
Yeah, I'll do
another time
that.
for sure.
I don't know
sweat
how to
either
play
way.
tennis, but I'll
Rob-
go.
Rob, we
Yes.
should grab dinner and catch up sometime soon. Yeah,
Sure.
Mad Lad, you're welcome to join for tennis if you want to come across state,
Yes.
multiple states.
I will go on a road trip and come out to tennis.
100 subs will get a ticket for Ollie.
I will
we
literally intrude on this for no reason at all.
we definitely need to have a team activity where you fly in and
We already
we'll
talked
meet
about
up
it.
with
End of
Jess
season
yeah.
1, we shoot live outside of Activision Blizzard. That's the episode.
Yeah,
we bring
we
on
do
you.
a live episode outside.
Yes.
We've talked about this
Oh.
multiple times.
Yeah,
Yes!
yeah.
We'll be
do
like the
that.
The
podcast on
problem
the
is, do
street.
you want to do it in front of Activision or Blizzard? Really far apart.
They are, yeah, the two very different.
Mm.
Well, Blizzard at least
Two
has
units.
their one Irvine office, whereas Activision is all of the other like satellites, so that would be kind of
Yeah.
tough. But
Do all of them at once.
Broadcasting
Why
live in
have
all
a
of them.
nondescript commercial
Yes.
building. We are here to talk about Activision.
It's just like a random warehouse with a sticky note that says Activision Blizzard on it. As
Let
we
me
wrap
zoom
up,
into the call box here to prove that we are.
as we're wrapping up, and we're about to raid Merrick Deville, who does a lot of work on Twitch advocating for women in the space and is discussing sexism in the workplace and other such topics. But before we get into that, I just want to give a shout out to everybody who is still on the Overwatch League team. And I know BAP as an organization has kind of been dissolved, but for everyone who's still working on the broadcast teams and keeping those leagues and the Call of Duty League going, thank you so much for all your hard work. You were awesome to work with, and also thank you for everyone who has left and moved on. A huge shout out to Eric Fish, who was a producer that I worked with on the Overwatch League, worked very closely with, was one of just as far as the list of producers that I've worked with, Eric is right up there at the top. He was just a joy to work with, was very collaborative, which as an editor, that is what you look for in a relationship with producers, someone who gives you timely notes, who gives you the freedom to insert your own level of creativity. And it was just always such a joy to work with. And I think maybe for Twitch, this is where I cut in a little tribute that's, with the dramatic music and the slow-mo shots, and it's in black and white and overexposed. So yeah, exactly. So thank you, Fish. Also,
For $1,
thank
you can help support furloughed Activision Blizzard employees in your area.
Thank you also to Josh Lee, who I worked with on the Call of Duty League, another producer who was great. Left quite a while ago. I don't know exactly where he ended up or if he's still looking for work, but another just amazing producer in the esports world. And to everyone, all of my coworkers that I worked with, and just everybody. Yeah, I couldn't possibly begin to name them all because it's such a large community, it's such a large family, and
Yeah.
if I had started naming, I would forget.
I tried and I failed earlier. You
Yeah,
heard me.
exactly.
I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna forget so many people. I'm gonna stop right there.
Would never imagine my network would grow, my network or family or whatever you want to call it would grow so much just from one job. Could not imagine it. So, and Mike, congratulations, by the way. Before we end this, Mike was in a similar boat that I was in prior to the Overwatch League, where it's tough when you're qualified for a job, but you don't have those resume items to get your foot in the door. And when you do finally get that foot in the door, it's a euphoric feeling. So, Mike, would you? I don't want to blow you up, so if you don't want to mention it, you
Oh,
don't
dude,
have
I
to,
love
but-
attention. Are you kidding me,
All
dude?
right,
Why do you
alright.
think I have the mic cam? Come on.
Well, the floor is yours, Mike.
I'm the newest content coordinator at 100 Thieves. Shout out to 100 Thieves, all the great people over there. I got a facial reaction from Lo. Look at that. I feel very.
Wow,
Yeah,
congrats,
compliment.
man. I'm
Mon
sorry,
Dieu.
I'm getting you off. Yeah, mon Dieu.
Thank you.
Bien
Thank you.
joué.
This is what. Listen, G4 could have had this, and they said no. So I mean, this is what happens now.
They said no to a lot of qualified people they couldn't afford. It's a
Yeah,
long list.
everyone's been great. The coolest thing I told Josh about the other day is that I worked my first job in gaming. I started this last week. I worked my first job in gaming a week ago, 7 years ago. And on that day, I met a very talented man named Phil Visu, who is a professional games commentator. He did the 2K League. He's done Smash. Was his main forte and stuff like that. And I ran into him at a company party on Friday, not knowing he was going to be there. And he was like, we were just shocked. We were broke ass Yu-Gi-Oh content creators and commentators 7 years ago, working dead shit jobs just to build our portfolio and travel the country. and now we're both just living up in LA, having dream jobs. So the dream is real. Keep hustling, guys. And thank you guys for coming on the show today. By the way, I mean I know you're friends with Josh, but like for me, this was also really cool listening to for sure.
Absolutely.
problem.
Thank you
Pleasure.
That was a pleasure, a very good first time. I had a lot of fun. So, Josh, if you need someone at some point, just let me know. I'll come back.
Absolutely. Would be glad to have you. Thanks so much for joining.
And think of me when you do the sitting in front of Activision headquarters to do the last season, the last episode of the season. If you need someone for 10 seconds, I can do a quick cameo if you want. I like the idea. I like the idea.
He'll be our in-office correspondent who goes in to do interviews and immediately gets dragged out by security. And it looks like
As long
Eric
as-
Fish, Eric joined our chat right as we started giving shout outs. So hey, how's it going, Eric? Thanks for joining. I hope you're enjoying your new position, which I recently found out where you landed at, and that's a huge jump. So congratulations on the promotion.
And Eric, props to the Twitter post calling everyone out. It actually meant a lot to everybody that you tagged.
Yep.
It was a pleasure working with you. So thank you for that. And thank you, Josh, for inviting me on. It was a pleasure. I had a lot of fun. And if you ever want me back, feel free to talk to Lo and have him back instead. So there you go.
Now we got to get the inside scoop on Lucas Arts at some point.
Yes, we do need a Star Wars podcast. Also, is there any projects you guys are working on that you want people to go check out specifically right now, or any of your personal projects?
Yes, I have a YouTube channel I'm working on with Anthony Barnes and Jack Castillo. It's called World Within Reach. It's on YouTube, and it's about traveling through Japan and having tons of adventure. So please check that out. And that's pretty much it.
Both of whom are both of the hosts and talent on that show are former colleagues of ours on.
Oh
the
yeah,
Blizzard
yeah.
team as well.
Good answer.
As I said, family, right?
Wait, just so I'm getting this right. Was the last upload 2 years ago, or? No.
Oh no, it's ongoing. Like we have the next episode in 2 days.
What's it-
released.
Link it in the
again?
chat.
World Within Reach.
There's another channel called World Within Reach, and the last upload
How
was 2 years
come?
ago.
No, that's not that. Really? There's another one? I need to tell
Okay,
Anthony.
so much after PR, corporate branding is just
Hold on, guys.
losing subs left and right.
Yeah, we're gonna have a last minute meeting on a Sunday
Well,
night.
if you want to drop it in Twitch chat so we get the right one, feel free to do that.
Is it on YouTube or is it on?
Yeah, it's YouTube.
Where
Yeah,
is it?
let me go on.
We'll try and find it and follow up.
Yeah.
Rob, is there anything you'd like to call out?
No, I stay behind the curtain. It only takes it's a friend or that calls attention to itself. Day job, creative producer at a marketing agency on the gaming side of things. I can't even really talk about the projects I'm working on because they're all unreleased. So
Sure, you can. You can say whatever you want, Rob. There are no rules. I mean, you want to give us an exclusive inside scoop? That's totally fine.
I wish I could.
The moderator doesn't let me post my link. How dare!
I got it.
here we
I got
go.
it. You forgot.
Okay, thank you.
I was forgetting the S. The other one has no S in
Thank
world.
you.
It was
You
world.
forgot to hit enter. Lo.
So you're
It's just-
going
you
to
hit
multiple
enter,
worlds.
it
You're going
just
to
syncs out.
Mars. You're going to Jupiter. Where else are you going?
Oh, we'll see season 2, guys. We need to tune in.
Thank you so much, everybody, for all the first-time viewers and returning viewers. Thank you for tuning in. For all of our former and current colleagues, thank you also for tuning in. I hope you had a good time watching and interacting with us today. We are about to raid Merrick DeVille, and I always mess up the raids. I don't understand how this. You can just do it. You can just
Josh,
launch
it's
the-
so easy. You just say
I don't-
goodbye. I cut to the graphic, and then
Yes.
right. So just say goodbye.
All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Junkrat's great.
And now I cut the graphic,
I was asked for a rating.
and then we raid in